Cleveland, this is for you.
Talking about balls.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George, and I'm joined as always by Kyle Price and Timbuktu. Gentlemen, how are we today?
Fantastic, my friend. How are you?
You know, I'm great. I hate being back in Cleveland, if I'm being honest. I had a fucking blast
Get
at
that
Disney.
South Florida glow right there.
That was like the best vacation, arguably, that I've ever been on. I had such a good time. It was so much fun.
It looked like you had a blast. So.
I really did. I never wanted to come back, but unfortunately, here I am. Last week's episode, I just want to quickly make a correction for myself. I misspoke when I said the Cavs would be up 3-1. I meant the Knicks would be up 3-1. That was a simple misunderstanding, or the Knicks were up 3-1. My
it's
apologies.
a very simple misunderstanding. It really is.
On my Mickey ears, I left them there because everything else was so expensive. I didn't feel like buying Mickey ears. Maybe I'll get a Mickey tattoo next.
Been doing this shit for years, haha.
That was actually not a bad Mickey.
Wow,
At all.
that's actually
Not bad at all.
you do voices too. My God, you are the producer that does it all here.
Yeah, if this production thing doesn't work out, you got voice acting at least.
I could do a Winnie the Pooh. I like Winnie the Pooh.
That's also Disney.
Oh, bother. That was kind of bad.
As I say,
usually
not your
do-
best. Let's stick to Mickey for the time being. We'll work on Winnie the Pooh.
I used to do it better.
You just want to wear a red shirt with no pants, don't you? That's just what it is.
Tim's always Winnie the Pooh in it. That's just how it goes.
Basically, yeah.
But yeah, so I am back. We are live in studio as always. We never miss a show because we are not the Steel City Running Lates. We come every week. That's what we do. I know most of the Steel City Running Lates would probably want to do a show every week, but there's some people that don't, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. So here we are. But with that being said, let's get right into it.
It's like we never skipped a beat.
The draft was last week. The NFL draft. The Browns did not pick, of course, until pick number, what was it, 74, I think.
Yeah, third round. Yeah.
So pretty good. It was, yeah, Kyle doesn't change. He just wears the same thing. It's kind of like it's like a baseball player that's superstitious. He just wears the same outfit every time.
I did. Technically,
Kyle's worn this 3 straight episodes in a row. Yeah, we've been meaning to talk about that. We're actually, Dave's here behind the camera. We're having a meeting about hygiene here at the studio.
I don't have. I have my smelly pants on today.
So we're
You know,
waiting
it's
on.
funny. On my way here, as I'm thinking, I'm like, did I wear this vest last week? And I guess I must have. So
We're waiting on one more person to arrive, and then the hygiene intervention will begin. Yeah, he that shall remain nameless. But in all seriousness, yeah, we are here. We are here to talk about the draft. The Browns picked 74 first. Their first pick was in the 3rd round, and we've got them right there for all of you to enjoy. Their first pick was Cedric Tillman, the wide receiver out of Tennessee.
speed.
A lot of people think that his name slips my mind. The other kid from Tennessee who got drafted right before that was going to be the Browns pick. They got jumped. A team traded ahead of us and took the Tennessee wide receiver, so we took Cedric Tillman. I'm wondering if they jumped us because we were going to take him. Maybe they knew something, or if Tillman was the pick all along. Because I'm not gonna lie, I like Tillman. I like his size. I like he has like I'm not comparing him to the player. Let's not get crazy. But he has the same like size and body frame as Josh Gordon.
Yeah. No, I was pretty excited about the pick. I figured they were going to address either the tackle in the first pick they took or the receiver in the first pick they took. It's funny that we go from nobody in the wide receiver room really to I think we have too many people in the wide receiver room now.
You could never have too many. Let's be honest. The NFL is a passing game. It was funny watching the draft with my friends. Again, this was the first year that I did not attend it in person since 2005.
Are
willingly.
you sad? It's Kansas City.
No,
What'd you think?
not at all. Actually, I had a much better trip. But it was funny watching the draft with my friends because, of course, they have their picks. My friends are Jets fans. My friends are Seahawks fans, Cowboys fans. They have their first round picks.
Yeah.
They have their second round picks. So the whole time we're watching and we're like guessing players and we're like excited. And then for the Browns, I'm just sitting there like, gotta wait another day. Like, still gotta wait. And then finally the Browns were about to pick and they were like, all right, what are you going with here? And I'm like, I couldn't tell you the player. I'm like, but obviously, as I mentioned on last week's episode, I said we're going to go wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line. You can bank on that. Those are positions no question about it, we were going to address.
Not in particular order, just those.
Yeah,
are the
and just
three.
whatever Andrew Berry's board looks like, those were the positions you can almost guarantee we're going after. And sure enough, that's exactly what they did. We ended up taking one wide receiver. We took 2 defensive linemen. We took 2 offensive linemen. We took a corner, and we took a quarterback. So pretty much everything you could expect. I mean, nothing really too surprising. Again, we'll go over the picks here. We took number 74 overall. We took Cedric Tillman, wide receiver out of Tennessee. Big boy. Very happy with that pick. Pick number 98, we took Siaki Ika, the defensive tackle. Big boy out of Baylor. He has a lot of red flags with his game, that he's just pretty much a huge body run stuffer, kind of similar to Danny Shelton. But for pick nearly 100, I'm okay with that. I can live with that. When all we need is we need extra bodies on the defensive line.
We need a depth there, yeah.
We need big boys that can stop the run. So that's a good pick. I like that. And, I trust Andrew Berry. Next up, pick number 111, round 4 to start off Saturday. The Browns took Dawan Jones, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Some interesting nuggets of info came out today, which make me really happy, but also a little skeptical on the pick. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
So there were reports that came out that said basically there were a lot of teams that there was one guy who had a mock draft who had Dawan Jones going 11th to the Titans.
Overall?
That high, yeah.
Jesus.
Another guy had him going 32 overall. He was a first-round graded player.
So what happened?
In his interviews, he told teams, my dream isn't to play in the NFL, it's to go to the NBA. He's never going to make it in the NBA. He is a large man. Large men like that don't usually play. He's 6'8", like 300-something pounds. He's a big boy. But he was telling teams that that's his dream, is to play in the NBA. So a lot of teams kind of got turned off by that. They don't think that he's really committed to football, so he dropped like a rock.
I mean, if that's the case and he's graded at 1 and we got him in 4.
That's how I look at it. I'm like,
That's
we took him
amazing.
pick number 111, and this is a guy that 24 hours before, teams were like, yeah, he could go in the first round, no problem. So I love that value.
Maybe Myles Garrett sits him down and says, look, I've tried the basketball thing.
Miles Garrett and Joe Thomas need to sit this kid down, have an intervention, and just be like, listen, Joe Thomas is going to make you great. Miles is going to explain why football is for you. And I think they can do that. But I love the pick.
There's nothing wrong with somebody having aspirations to do a different sport. This just shows how athletic he is. He says, hey.
I mean, that was the one thing, too, is when he got drafted, sorry to interrupt you, but they showed highlights of him playing basketball. Like, he does play basketball all the time. He loves the game of basketball. The one thing that would alarm pro sports teams is if you waste a really high draft pick on a guy who then a couple years into his contract goes, yeah, he could either get hurt playing basketball on the side, or could literally say, you know what, I'm going to pursue basketball. So I have, because you have to diet differently, you have to live your life differently. You can't play both. So he would have to change everything, and he wouldn't be a football player anymore.
Right.
So it's one or the other. So teams were probably like, well, we're not giving this dude a first round contract, all this money for him to go, nah, I'm just going to change sports. I understand.
Did Miles this year come out and say he's done playing basketball? Something happened, or he's done doing that?
No, I think he's still going to play basketball. I think the Browns just told him. I think he came out and said he's never doing the Pro Bowl again.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I think basketball he still likes to play. Obviously until he gets hurt, which knock on wood that doesn't happen. But he's done with the Pro Bowl. He said he'll never go back to that.
They can nominate him. He just won't go there and do anything.
Correct. Yeah, he can make the Pro Bowl technically, but he just will never play in the events, which is smart. But yeah, so that was the red flag that I saw in Dawan Jones today.
Was he a guard or a tackle? He was a tackle.
He's a tackle.
Right?
Yeah, he's huge.
Right. Yeah.
6'8", 300-something pounds. Like, he is your prototypical tackle size. His comparisons were great. They're comparing him to some of the best tackles of all time because, again, he could have been a first-round pick talent-wise. He was really good.
Curious to see what happens in training camp now.
I love it. I mean, this is a guy with Jack Conklin not getting any younger. Jedrick Wills getting his 5th-year option picked up this week. I forgot to jot that down. But
right at the deadline.
Which I think is a good move by the Browns. It's kind of like their way of saying, like, step it up. If you want another contract, step it up. And I mean, other teams did it for better players. They waited till the last day. I think it must be there could be something in the language of contracts and with the way your salary cap works that they needed to wait.
Yeah.
Because there were other teams that waited for good players like Andrew Thomas of the Giants. He's a team captain. He's a damn good tackle. The Giants picked up his option the same day we picked up Jedrick Wills. So I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing. There were players like Jordan Brooks of the Seahawks, who I make fun of my buddy about all the time, who did not get his option picked up. Jeff Okudah, he got traded. His option cannot be picked up because of that trade.
That trade still boggles my mind.
Yeah, so there were plenty of players whose options did not get picked up, and most of them were not too surprising. But anyway, back to the draft. So the Browns took Dawan Jones, pick number 111 overall in the 4th round. Great value pick there. Another guy they took is Isaiah McGuire, defensive end from Missouri. Just based on this guy that I follow, we've talked about him on the show before. CLEVTA at CLEVTA, Cleveland TA on Twitter. Super diehard analytical guy. He goes into detail. Like, he can pretty much pinpoint Andrew Berry's board. Most of these guys were on that board. Like he had Isaiah McGuire weeks ago as a guy who's checks all the boxes for somebody Andrew Berry would be interested in. So to get him in the 4th round, great pick, because I think this was somebody that he mocked for the third round. So to get him in mid 4th, very good value. And then next up, we took quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson out of UCLA. Very similar player to Deshaun Watson, just obviously not as talented.
I think 5th year, like he played all 5 years there, right?
Yeah, he's an older guy, but he's good. He's athletic. He's got not the strongest arm, but he's got a pretty decent, accurate arm. He's our backup. I mean, let's not read too much into it. Deshaun Watson's not going anywhere.
At least we hope not.
Yeah, we don't think so. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson is young. We right now have Kellen Mond. We have Josh Dobbs, and now Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So one of those guys will be out more than likely. Kellen Mond, if I had to guess.
Practice squad, you think, or just cut?
He'll probably be cut. I don't think we'll hold on to 4 quarterbacks. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson will probably be the guy that makes the practice squad, if anybody.
Okay.
Just because most teams are only going to hold 3 quarterbacks. No sense in holding more, especially when you have your franchise. You hope your franchise quarterback in Deshaun Watson. You don't need to hold that many quarterbacks. So that was a good draft pick there. I know a lot of people were really high on him in multiple teams. He was flying up the draft charts leading up to the draft. Next up, we took Cam Mitchell. Cornerback out of Northwestern, Greg Newsome's old teammate, really good friends. So they're both really happy to have him.
He had a good senior year. I was looking up stats on him. He had to be at I think he had like 10 or 11 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. Was right outside the top, like the Big Ten team, all team or whatever for last year. So not bad. I mean, but for the pick we got him in, pretty good value pick.
So the year that Greg Newsome got drafted when he was at Northwestern, his completion percentage against him was 36%. Cam Mitchell was 33%. So even better than Greg Newsome, and we got him in the 5th round. So that's really good value pick there. They're good friends. I think he'll probably battle for the slot corner spot immediately because remember, Greedy Williams is gone. So it's going to be Greg Newsome, it's going to be Denzel Ward, and then you're going to have Martin Emerson, and you're going to have now Cam Mitchell, I imagine, will battle for that 4th/3rd spot. And then last but not least, we took another Ohio State Buckeye, Luke Whippler, the center. A lot of Browns fans get pissed that the Browns don't take Ohio State players, and they drafted 2. They signed a few from undrafted free agency. So we have a lot of Buckeyes on this team now. So I don't want to hear any Browns fans bitching anymore. You got your Buckeyes.
I honestly sat back and I didn't watch every single pick of the draft. I'm not sure about if you guys were like diehard TV, but from what I saw on the Browns, with the Browns made picks, they made smart picks, value picks. Got people later than we thought they'd actually fall, which is amazing. And it's just, again, yet another draft by Andrew Berry that just thumbs up.
So for what it's worth, there's a guy who writes for The Athletic, who I think you're familiar with. I talked about him last year. He writes that book called The Beast. He goes into the most thorough, in-depth research on players you'll ever see, named Dane Brugler. He is actually an Ohio native. He does his list of top 100 prospects. He does a full mock draft. He does a report. He writes up a report for every player. And he graded the Browns draft really high. And he said for only having their first pick be number 74, they have, I think, what did he say, 4 or 5 players out of his top 100, which that's insane. Our first pick didn't come till 74. And we managed to walk away with 4 or 5 of his top 100 overall players. So again, that means nothing. They need to play on the field. They need to actually be good. A draft ranking, a preseason ranking means jack shit. We know that as Browns fans. How many times have the Browns been Super Bowl champions in April and complete ass in September? Happens all the time. So these guys need to pan out.
Did we go 4-0 in the 0-16 season?
In the preseason?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely we did. We were undefeated, and then when it actually mattered, they looked like the Cavs in the playoffs, and it was ugly.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that. Don't you guys worry. I just didn't want to start with it because I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to remain positive.
This is happy Justin
I'm
right
still
now.
riding high from my Disney trip. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. I'm
Magical?
energized.
Magical?
And then the worst part, though, was night 1. I literally had to watch. It was Wednesday night. I had to watch the Cavs get eliminated in a room full of fucking Knicks fans because all my buddies are Knicks fans. And we watched
It's like
that game.
self-torture.
I still talked so much shit when that game ended. I rubbed it in. I said, Jimmy Butler's going to beat the fuck out of your Knicks. I said, the Cavs just underachieved. They suck, but the Knicks are even worse. I fucking roasted them.
Well, half of it's right. They're 1-1 now. Jimmy Butler did beat the shit out of him in the game 1. Now he's hurt.
He didn't play. He'll be there Saturday. I don't know if you saw the video of him after the game yesterday.
No.
So there was like 5 seconds left. The Knicks were all celebrating, and Jimmy Butler just stood there, and he just nodded his head like, okay. He is not happy. You have pissed off Jimmy Buckets, and it's going to be ugly for for you, New York. And they barely beat the fucking B squad of the Heat by like 4 points last night or whatever.
I will say this, not to jump ahead on NBA talk because I don't want to, but I will say that I did walk away from the series being a fan of Brunson, just a player, Brunson.
Nope.
I like him.
Anybody that beats my Cavs, go fuck yourself, Jalen Brunson. I will never root for you. I hate you. I fucking hope all the bad things happen to you and only you.
I cannot believe.
I hate you.
I can't believe the Mavs got rid of him.
I can. They're dumb. I mean, look at the trade they made for Kyrie Irving. Does that should tell you everything you need to know.
That's my point, though. I think Jalen.
Huh?
He's
Who, Brunson? Is he? Well, fuck him too. Fuck you and your dad, Jalen.
okay. I didn't mean to jump ahead to get you salty, so I apologize. I was just saying that as a player, I can respect his game.
I gotta meditate. I gotta calm back down. Back to football.
Rub your ears. Woosah, woosah.
Feel good. Feel good. I got to sing the I Feel Pretty song from Anger Management. We're going to talk about the Cavs
That's a great
real soon.
fucking movie.
I love that movie.
Oh, so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and gay. Sorry.
Tim's not allowed to say that. He got real quiet there. He doesn't want to get canceled. I respect that.
I just don't remember the words.
Yeah. Well, Kyle did not. He was
correct
all about
word
it. I
was
feel like
gay.
that's Kyle's playlist when he's doing yard work. The way
Absolutely.
he was on top of that shit.
Broadway hits 24/7, baby. Let's go.
But yeah, so the Cavs, I like their draft.
Browns.
Yeah, Browns.
they're in your
you
ad.
fucking threw me off. You threw me off. I'm all fucked up. Talking about your love of Jalen Brunson. My fucking mind can't process it all.
He's all off kilter now.
But
Let's
no,
just jump ahead.
The Browns had a really good draft. I'm very
They
happy
did.
with it. Again, for value, we took guys in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. These are not immediate day one starters. These are not guys that we're projecting to be Hall of Famers. These
They're
are
going to
just
compete. They're going to compete.
these are
well,
guys that
I
are going to
think.
get
Yeah,
reps. They're going to
absolutely.
play. They're going to be role players to start. Hopefully they turn into starters, and hopefully you have a few diamonds in the rough.
Some of these players are going to make some of the people you saw on this team last year not be here anymore.
Correct. Some of these guys will take some jobs because they are younger and cheaper, and that is the name of the game, especially when you have this much money locked up into a quarterback, into your defensive end, and into your corner, and your offensive line for that matter. So there's a lot of money going around to people, and unfortunately there are cap casualties.
Yes.
That's the name of the game. But yeah, I like this draft. Again, we have Cedric Tillman will more than likely be taking the job of Anthony Schwartz on the
Thank
roster.
fucking God.
Ika will probably be taking the job of Perry and Winfrey if he doesn't clear up this legal issue shit that he's got going on, but we'll see about that. DeJuan Jones more than likely not taking anybody's job. I mean, that job's open there. It's just he's a swing guy.
Yeah, but
if anything, he'll be a starter, assuming
by week 5 because of injuries.
yeah, assuming Jack Conklin can't stay healthy,
Yeah.
which is more than likely going to happen. And Jedrick Wills even has trouble staying healthy. So wouldn't doubt it if he's starting at one point this season. And then
Like you said, Cameron Mitchell probably be out there.
Cam Mitchell will more than likely be taking
Yeah.
AJ Green's job. Some of these lower corner guys, he's going to be taking their job. And then you've got the quarterback will probably be taking Kellen Mond's job,
Yeah.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So we're foreshadowing here and we're projecting, but that's more than likely what's going to happen. But we'll learn more when we get closer to camp and the end of camp, because the way the NFL is doing it now, I believe, is you have like your 95-man roster, and you have to cut that shit down in one day to 53. So you're cutting 40 guys in one day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people to get rid of. So I look
Talk
forward
about a
to that. I
stressful
love cut
job.
day.
Talk about a stressful job for a GM. Before you kind of eased into it.
Yeah.
Now it's just like
You
nope.
used to have like
Boom.
one week you cut 10, then you cut 15, then you cut the final 20 or whatever. Now it's 40 guys one day, fire them.
yeah.
Which again, I would love to do that. If the Browns ever came to me and they're like, "Will you come help us cut people?" in a heartbeat, I would love it.
Just
That's
like firing people, don't
my
you?
favorite episodes of Hard Knocks is cut day. I love it. I live for it.
Hey, can you grab your iPad and follow me?
Yeah,
please?
can you
Thanks.
bring your tablet? Can you bring your playbook? Oh God, I love those words. Oh, it makes me feel good. But yeah, like everybody else watches Hard Knocks, and you fall in love with this like sob story guy of like, oh, he battled so hard through JUCO and he was at this small school and he's an undrafted free agent, and then at the end he gets cut. And for me, everybody else is like, oh, sad, and I'm like, get him the fuck out of here. That guy stinks. I love it
You always the HBO just builds around the one guy to get the sympathy card
every
and
time. Like for
boom,
us, it was
done.
that shitty tight end. I don't even remember his name. He never went on to do anything in the NFL. But they,
when they were with the Browns.
yeah, but he was with Cleveland.
Yeah.
But yeah, they cut the shit out of that guy. He was gone. I forgot his name.
Should have cut the coach, but you know,
Loved
whatever.
it. Yeah, Hugh Jackson at the time. Well, they did. It just took them a little while to wise up. But yeah, so I'm satisfied with the Browns draft. I'm happy. Filled positions of need, got depth, young players. Got again guys who, depending on who you're looking at, depending on who you follow for the draft, some of these guys were pretty highly rated. So we'll see what happens. Let's hope Andrew Berry knocked it out of the park, because I more than likely feel, depending on how the season goes, this will be the last hurrah for the Stefanski-Berry regime if they don't make the playoffs. They have to. There's no going around it. It's win now. With that being said, we will get around the rest of the NFL here and talk about some drafts. I didn't have time because I literally just flew home over the weekend, and I just didn't have time to break down everybody's draft. So maybe next week we can go into more detail on teams' drafts. But what I decided to do is I did my top 5 favorite and my top 5 least favorite drafts. And just quick cliff notes. Did you not do that? Somebody? I heard it. Oh, shit.
Yeah, because I couldn't find the picture and I moved on.
Oh, son of a biscuit, Tim.
I get it.
Yeah, just anything that says NFL draft.
So,
but
wait,
we
no,
can go on
I
without
do
it.
my homework here, kind of, sometimes.
Was it last week you didn't do your homework?
Hey, it's like maybe 3 things.
Clearly, Kyle's going through some shit, guys. He didn't have time to do his homework. He's
Been sleeping in
he's
the-
wearing the same clothes
sleeping in
every
the
week. This
car.
poor
It
guy.
happens.
He's struggling right now. Things aren't going
I'm going to
well.
be standing outside with a coin jar. Can you just give me some quarters, please? I would greatly appreciate it.
That's not a bad idea.
No, so I don't know what you did, but I went through and picked the 5 teams I thought had great drafts and some of the picks they had, and the 5 worst teams I thought had.
I mean, we love the guy, but I'm okay with it because I think he's the best producer at Redline Radio. But, Tim just tried to flush that segment right down the drain. And you know who I would call to unclog that drain? I would call Smith's Drain Service, LLC. Smith's Drain Service is your local drain cleaning expert, specializing in main sewer lines, bathtub, laundry lines, septic lines, kitchen sink lines, floor drains, downspouts, and so much more. Family owned and operated, you can call Smith's Drain Service today at 440-242-8704. Tell them Talking About Balls sent you. They'll have no idea what you're talking about, but just tell them anyway.
That was. I fucking hate when you do that. You just transition to
Well,
a perfect...
I'm killing time. I'm letting Tim do his thing. That's what a professional does. You just roll with the punches.
Well, I like it, though. I appreciate it. So, anyways, when you have drain issues, sometimes you have to break up concrete in your basement to replace certain pipes, certain lines. You know who you'd call to come out and fix that concrete again?
Who's that?
ACS Affordable Concrete Solutions, LLC.
That's who I would call.
Absolutely. Call today at 440-714-1987 or go to their website at affordableconcretesolutions.llc at gmail.com. That's not a website. That's an email address, but it's okay. We're going to roll with it. So.
Now, did he not have the picture ready for that segment? No. But do I still love him? And would I put I love you, Tim, on a T-shirt? You damn right I would. And you know who I would go to for that T-shirt?
Who would that
Incredible
be?
Keepsakes.
Really?
They make T-shirts, cups, binders, keychains, you name it. Incredible Keepsakes can make it and customize it for you. Official merchandise provider of Redline Radio LLC and all of our show hosts. Give them a call, 440-242-9648, or go to their website, incrediblekeepsakes.com. As Diane would say, cherished moments are made to last forever.
Now, I missed this band last week. Dave called me out for not coming out to watch it.
Right down the street from my house, literally. I live around the corner from there, but I was obviously gone.
The Bad Juju, the group, the official band of Redline Radio, was down at Solid Gold performing. Was it a good concert, Dave? Great.
Looked fun. I saw the videos and everything you guys
Yeah.
posted.
Really? Yeah, I mean, we've been in there before, and that place has been packed. And as a guest, it's not fun because you're like this with everybody, but I'm sure the music was amazing.
Yeah, it's elbow to elbow. The sound system, it's way too fucking loud
Yeah,
in there. That sounds about right. That's solid gold for you. I'm shocked they didn't encourage people to stand on the bar stools.
Well, they cover all your favorites from the 80s and 90s. If you haven't heard them, please go listen to them. They tour around Cleveland. They do a lot of bars, little outdoor stadium. I'm sure with the weather breaking, they're going to be outside performing too. Give them a call if you want to book them today. Call Chad at 440-458-0209.
Now, there's another show host here at Redline Radio who is not to be named. But let me just put it this way. He likes to whine and cry whenever Kyle and I come up with our shenanigans where we talk about him. And that's bullshit. But you know what I love? That was actually good. You blurred me out saying bullshit. That was perfect.
Timed.
But we love our shenanigans here at Talking About Balls, especially Lucy's shenanigans. Lucy's is located at 2218 Broadview Road, Cleveland, Ohio. Michelle and the staff at Lucy's are always committed to giving their guests the best experiences. Join them every Friday night for karaoke and, of course, all your hometown local games. Contact them today, 216-675-0013. Tell them Talking About Balls sent you.
So you can get beer at Lucy's, right? They have a lot of different selections, but you know where you can go to get a lot more selection of beer?
Schittsburg.
That place, absolutely. And in Schittsburg is this place called Mike's Beer Bar. It's located across the street from PNC Park. Mike's Beer Bar, formerly Beerhead, Bar is a premier craft beer destination in Schittsburg with 80 rotating taps of over 500 beers. That's amazing. I would actually probably make the trip to go to this place. To find the perfect beer for any occasion, stop in today and make sure you tell your friends, meet me at Mike's.
I know they love hosting 2/3 of the Steel City running lates there. They love when Mike and Chip, or I'm sorry, when Dave and Chipper show up, but they fucking hate when shows up.
Absolutely.
But that's just what I heard from the owner. I mean, I don't know. I'm
that's
just,
weird.
I got an email. I had nothing to do with it. It's not my joke. It's not me being funny.
It's actually
Just
written
telling
here
you, that's
underneath
just how it
Mike's
is.
beer bar. It's weird.
Yeah, there's an asterisk next to it. I got this new copy of
it
the
says
ads.
it says please
I
invite
wrote it myself, but
Dave, Chipper, and whenever you want to, but please leave the last guy out. Okay, got it. We're good. We're
yeah,
fine.
I respect that.
Cool. I like that.
All right. While we're here, speaking of, no, the wonderful.
He thought it was
The
happening again.
wonderful Tim, you'll know when I'm speaking when I have that vitriol going on. The wonderful people at Redline Radio. You can catch some great shows here. We're gonna start with my man right there in the middle, Timbuktu, every Tuesday night from 6 to 8. Timbuk Tuesday. He had a fucking packed house
Send me
yesterday.
$2.
Would you have 5 people on the show yesterday? I think.
Yeah.
Was it maybe
It
4 or
was
5? Yeah, you had a
4.
lot of
Are
people.
they
It was
paying
cool.
you to come on your show now, Tim? You can have worked it out yet?
No, not
okay.
yet.
The best part is
okay.
watching Timbuk Tuesday. It's like the Brady Bunch intro. You just have little squares. There's so many people. I love it. There's so many people on it. It's great though. But yeah, check out Timbuk Tuesday every week, talking about God knows what, and that's the best part. Yesterday was the winging it episode.
And we definitely wing it.
Yeah, you could say that again. It lived up to the name. Also on Tuesday nights, you've got live on location, with Gary Wenner spinning the hits from 6 to 10, and you've got Broad Street South back in business talking Philly sports. On Wednesdays, of course, you've got Cleveland's Finest. Hopefully they're coming back soon. Shout out to all of them getting their shit together. When you have a baby, it's hard to prioritize and get, you're trying to get your shit together with life and work and all that. So totally understood. Hopefully we see them back soon. You can catch them from 4 to 6. Talking about balls, obviously, the cream of the crop, 7 to 9. Redline Radio Studio 2, and a new show tonight, What's Up in the 216 debuts tonight at 9:30, so make sure you stick around and check that out. I was joking with Kyle because usually we're the last show of the night, so we could do whatever the fuck we want. If we go a little over, sometimes we end the show, we hang out, we bullshit.
We pee in the corner. It happens.
Yeah, and now I pee on one person's specific cup. Yep. But we have to be professional today. We got to end the show. We got to get our shit. We got to get out of here. It's the first time when we didn't have a lot of notice. It was right before the show, but we're great. We know what we're doing. We're so fucking good. It's gonna be fine. But that'll be tonight. So check that out. What's Up in the 216? Tell them Talking About Balls sent you. Check in definitely.
What's the basis of the show? Like, what do they talk about? I know it's up in
Talking about
216.
about what's up in Cleveland.
I mean, Tim, do you have
I believe it's like
synopsis?
comedy based, right?
Cece Bullock is a comedian. She is the host of the show.
Okay.
She's gonna have a star-studded cast of women tonight, and they're gonna talk about their experiences through comedy and yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly what all she's going.
Right. With the first episode, it's hard to
yeah.
predict what it's going to be
So
like,
you're
but
the,
definitely
you're
check
the
it out.
producer, Tim?
Absolutely.
They are in safe hands.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're in great hands. I have no worries about that.
I think we're gonna have to.
The number one producer at Redline Radio, without a doubt. I mean, was it a vote of just me and myself? Sure. But doesn't make it any less valuable. It's true.
I haven't got my certificate yet either.
That's because you know who was supposed to print it out, and what do you expect? But yeah, so check that out tonight. They are on from 9:30 to 10:30.
I believe 11:30.
So whoa, 11:30.
going late
Burning the
nights.
midnight oil tonight, Tim. Jesus.
After 10:30, does it turn into like after dark hour conversations or what?
I hope so. It will in the comments at least. By
Tim's
me.
shirt's gonna start sliding off on camera.
That was going to happen regardless.
I don't know if I was gonna be on camera.
It's like the Skinamax episodes back in our childhood where it's all fuzzy and your mom walks in like, oh, I wasn't watching
It like hits
anything.
11 p.m. and you're like, oh shit, we got titty.
I got boobs, mom.
That was about it with
It's
that.
funny. I was just talking to somebody about real sex.
I mean, I liked it back in the day when there was actually some cool shit on those paid channels.
the-
You were
all-
getting your money's worth.
All the Bunny Ranch stuff back in the day on Real Sex.
Yeah, that was the
yeah.
Bunny Ranch
Yeah.
was great. On Showtime, they had that show Gigolos. I loved that show. I thought that
Yeah,
show was actually a
Gigolos
good
is
show.
great.
But yeah, so that's Wednesday. Thursdays, of course, you've got That Guy Dub from 3 to 4. You've got the Lex Vegas from 7 to 8 and Club Pizzle 8:30 to 9:30. Redline Radio Studio 1 for the culture. At Studio 2, you've got Broad Street South, and from 5 to 7, you've got. So make sure you check that out. Tell them Talking About Balls sent you. On Fridays, you've got our man, my boy, the Grapevine. He was just hanging out, smoking a bunch of weed with Wiz Khalifa. How fucking cool is that?
That's pretty impressive.
He has a remote at Cava Bar this week.
Yeah,
He does. This
mentioned it,
Friday
yeah.
night, Cinco de Mayo. I will be out doing some Cinco de Drinko for sure after work. So I warned Grape in advance. I'm like, if I can make it, depends on how my day's going, because I'm going right after work. I'm going to a Mexican restaurant to drink some margaritas and get all fucked up. So we'll see how my night goes. And then from 8 to 10 on Redline Radio Studio 2, you've got... So check that out. I'm sure it's going to be excellent. And tell him Justin sent you.
Yeah.
Just don't even say talking about balls.
No,
Say
just
Justin sent you. He'll know what that means. On Saturday mornings, you've got Unscripted. We've got Dave in the house right now. Check them out from 10 to 12. Dave, Adam, Chipper.
the most eclectic group of guests ever.
It's
I've
always
seen.
it's usually
I love
always
it.
Dave,
I
and
love
then
it.
it's a revolving door of his guest co-host. You never know who it's going to be, but you're in good hands if Dave's there. I mean, Adam's great.
It's like the
Chipper's,
Price is Right. Come on down.
Chipper's
You're the next
okay.
contestant on
So
this.
you got some. Yeah, obviously, if it's Adam and Dave, I definitely watch longer. If it's Chipper and Dave, like a couple minutes, and then you just say hello and you get out of there because it's Chipper. What the fuck? He's not bringing anything to the table. And then you've got 4th and 15 from 2 to 4, and you've got Comedies and Cocktail with Jen and TMI, Too Much Information. I believe they changed their time, right?
6 to 8.
They're on from 6 to 8. Why would that be corrected on the board? Why would that be right? Well, why would it? People are just too busy nowadays doing nothing and complaining on Facebook Messenger. Why would they actually do their job and fix shit? And then on Sundays, sometimes when they decide to come back, you've got the Steel City Running Lates from 10 to 12. Or maybe that's going to change too, because there's one person on that show who likes to just fuck around and do things wrong. So who knows what's going to happen there? And then you've got Loud and Local from 7:30 to 8:30.
I shouldn't have mentioned the Cavs early, shouldn't I? I mean,
You
just
got
on
me
a
all fucking riled up
tangent
again.
now.
You got me all riled up. But in all seriousness, check out all the
Stir
shows
the
at Redline
pot.
Radio.
Light the fuse and step back.
There's a show damn near every day of the week. If you want to do a show, contact Dave. Mondays are wide open. You guys can come on in.
Don't contact Dave. Contact me so I could do the schedule.
Fair.
Boom.
That's fair. Yeah, let Tim decide what time your show's going on, because he's the one who's going to have to be here for it. So, yeah, talk to Tim. Reach out to Tim. You can find him. He's on all of our social media pages and everything. You guys know who Tim is at this point. So if you ever want to do a show at Redline,
It's the big fluffy guy in the middle here, right here.
I'm hard to miss.
he's our little angel just floating around in the middle. We love Tim. So reach out to Tim specifically and tell him you want to do a show at Redline Radio. We have Studio 1, you got Studio 2, and you got Mondays wide open. So come do a show. It's a good time, and you're in good hands. And then just avoid the guy that we're not allowed to talk about, and then you're in really good shape.
I've never looked forward to show schedule reads, but now it's more entertaining.
Yeah. I like to spice it up. I've always warned people, I like to bust balls. I have a good time, but you do not want to get on my bad side because it gets ugly. And I'm sorry, just who I am as a
I
person.
think I'm just gonna have like a fake box of popcorn from now on every time and just start eating it as we're just talking about.
That's
certain
just who it
things.
is. Every week, it's just a new improv roast, but no names were said. There's nothing anybody can do about it.
It's a premature beep there you got, Tim.
But
Sorry,
it's
you
the
don't get
point.
that worked
It's because
on.
people know what that beep means, and that's all that
Yes.
matters. All right. So anyway, I did ask Kyle and told him in advance we're going to go over our top 5 best and our most hated.
Wonder if we're alike here. Now again, we never shared.
We did
anything.
not talk about this in advance whatsoever.
So 5. Yeah, so again, I did 5 best teams, 5 worst teams, and
Yep.
I sprinkled in a couple the picks I liked and didn't like in there
Yep.
too. So
I did the same thing. So we
Okay.
we will go down from 5 to 1,
Okay.
starting with best. Number 5 for my best draft, I'm going Arizona. Arizona traded back. They got themselves a bunch of draft picks. They moved up. Didn't cost them much to get Paris Johnson, which is a big offensive lineman that they needed for Kyler Murray. They have a lot of draft picks in the future. I forgot. There's a patented JG burp. Forgot exactly how many they have, but they have a shitload of draft picks for 2024. So they're in good shape. You fired Cliff Kingsbury. You have a new head coach, Gannon. I forgot his first name. Jonathan Gannon, maybe?
Yep.
That sounds about right. They got Kyler Murray, who I think sucks. I think more than likely this regime's going to try to move on from him. So you have all these draft picks, and then you hope Kyler Murray has a pretty decent year, and you can maybe try to trade him and acquire even more draft picks. Then next year you're fucking loaded to start with a young team. Speaking of the Cardinals, that was actually one team with Isaiah Simmons. His option got declined. That was another kind of interesting player who didn't get his 5th-year option picked up. But Arizona's a young team. Arizona, new head coach, new GM. They're going a new direction, loaded with draft picks. They still were able to get a top 10 pick in Paris Johnson, or whatever pick they took him. I think they took him like 8th or something. But you got a good offensive lineman. You've got a good core there, and then a bunch of draft picks for next year. So I think they're in really good shape. The next team I think had a really good draft. Or go ahead. I'm sorry. You're number 5.
No, it's fine. So my number 5 was the Chiefs. I thought the Chiefs had a pretty decent draft, especially where they're drafting at the end of the round. They went and got the edge that Felix. I forget his. It's going to mess up his fucking last.
Yeah,
name.
his last name's a disaster. I know who you're talking
But they
about.
they needed some help on a defensive line, and they were able to get some good value.
Yeah,
at that
they
last
lost.
Pick.
What was it? Frank Clark?
Yeah, I believe so.
No, Chris Jones.
Yeah, Jones.
Yeah, they
Jones,
lost
yeah.
Jones to Seattle because the Browns were trying to
Right.
get him. So
So
yeah, they
I-
lost a little bit on their defensive line, and that was huge for them in the playoffs, especially. So to add some more beef to that defensive line.
and especially drafting where they were drafting, I thought.
Yeah,
it was a
you have
great-
the last
great
pick of the
value.
draft because you're the Super Bowl champions. You have Patrick Mahomes. You still have Travis Kelce.
You have
You're
a
in good
solid
shape.
team in place, and you're able to backfill position as of need, and you really just kind of a neutral. So I think that is a win. I think you were able to fill a need, and you moved on. Plus, they got another receiver too. I think Rayshon Rice, and
Yeah, Racey Rice. Yeah, so that's a good pick. I mean, again, anytime you can add a weapon to Patrick Mahomes, you're in good shape. And I that's a great team. They're going to continuously be the cream of the crop, the leaders of the AFC until Patrick Mahomes gets dethroned somehow. So, never a
that
bad
was
thing
number
for the
5.
Chiefs. Number 4 for me is Buffalo. I really liked them trading up a few spots to get Dalton Kincaid. He was coveted by a lot of people as the number 1 tight end in this draft. You added him to an already powerful offensive structure in Buffalo. Josh Allen has come out and kind of hinted that he needs to slow down on the running. He needs to kind of turn into more of a passing quarterback. And the best friend of a quarterback is the tight end. And Dalton Kincaid could be a guy who could be there for 10 years with him. They already have Dawson Knox, who's pretty damn good. So you're now just adding another weapon to that offense. I really like the pick. I think Buffalo will win the East again. I think they're going to be a pretty good contender.
Yeah, my number 4 was the Bears. The Bears' one goal they had to do was try to protect Justin Fields, and they did. They went out and got Darnell Wright with their draft, which is great. And they also went out and got the defensive tackle Dexter Sr., their next pick, which I believe are 2 great picks for them. I think the Bears are doing nothing but trying to add protection and defensive help and keep giving Fields a chance to win games for him.
Yeah, this regime knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
opposed to back when they had Matt Nagy. So my number 3 is who Kyle just mentioned. I had Chicago at number 3.
There you go.
I like that they went out and got Darnell Wright, the big offensive tackle out of Tennessee. They are protecting Justin Fields. Justin Fields last year in the second half of the season especially was the number 1 fantasy quarterback strictly because of his rushing ability, which is more power to him. But they obviously want to try to keep him upright. They want to keep him healthy. They want to keep him in the pocket throwing the ball because he is a quarterback after all. And the way to do that, you got to protect him, get an offensive line. So they did that. They also addressed the defensive line. They addressed the defensive back. They got a couple wide receivers. Don't forget they traded with the Carolina Panthers, and they now have DJ Moore. So they're in good shape offensively. I really like what the Bears have done this offseason, and this draft is just icing on the cake.
Yep, my number 3 was the Giants.
Okay.
I think the Giants are a team with their coach of the year that is
Sean McDermott,
that's
Brian
only gonna,
Dable.
I think they're only
Sean
continue-
McDable.
Sean McDable. I like that. That's good. I think the Giants are a team that are going to be around. I think they're going to continue to play well. They did not get worse, I don't believe, in the offseason. They went out and added a cornerback. They needed some defensive help, and I think they also added the center too, just to get more protection for Danny Dimes there. So I think they added what they needed to for pieces. But yeah, I like the Giants. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be back in the playoffs or go to the playoffs next year.
I mean,
but we'll see.
that's the number one thing was Danny Dimes a fluke? Was he a one-year wonder?
Right.
It really,
You got to give the chance, though. You got to give him a chance to see what happens.
they paid him like he is not a one-year wonder.
Yeah, what a contract
And
that
if that works out, then more power to him. That's a huge move for them. That's great. Kudos to Danny Dimes. Because look, I'm excited for a player that, when needed to, plays his ass off and earns himself a big contract.
Agree.
Do I think he was overpaid? Sure. But it's the NFL. It's just the day and age we are with sports, and quarterbacks are getting paid like crazy. So I didn't even put that in there. We talked about it last week, the Lamar Jackson contract, right? That happened before last episode.
Yes, we talked about
Okay,
it before
then never
last
mind.
episode.
My timing is all off. I'm not going to lie to you. My number 2 favorite draft is the Houston Texans. I love what they did getting C.J. Stroud. I personally think Stroud was the best quarterback in this draft. And then to double down and say, fuck it,
I like that.
we are all in. And they traded up to get the number. They had the number 2, and then they traded up to get the number 3 overall pick and took Will Anderson Jr., who was coveted by a lot of people as arguably the best player in the draft overall and the best defensive end. And the keys to a good football team, you have 2 positions, one on offense, one on defense, quarterback and defensive end. Those are your top 2 positions you need to have great players at if you want to succeed. And I think they tried to do that in one draft. And I appreciate their balls.
I mean, I was surprised when I saw the trades in. Like,
Yeah.
there's no fucking way.
Because you got to think they also have Laramie Tunsil, who's a very good offensive lineman, so that's good for Stroud. They have Damian Pierce, who was a really good running back, who unfortunately got hurt, but he was pretty decent. Wide receivers, they could use a little bit of help, if I'm being honest. But overall, I love the draft for them.
I saw a meme come out the day after his pick, and it was of Cuba Gooding Jr. in the movie Radio,
Yeah.
where he was running the ropes.
I saw
It's
that.
like
and they said CJ
live action footage of CJ running ropes in training camp for the Houston Texans. Like,
He's
don't
gonna
do
be
him-
really
don't
good.
do him dirty like
Big old
that.
ball, Johnny.
I think he's going to be good.
My
That's
number
so
two
mean.
team, the Eagles. The Eagles had a very aging defense, and they went out and I believe addressed it. Jalen Carter, which I thought was the best tackle in the draft, and then he went out and got Nolan Smith, who I also had going in the first round. So I think they did well, and I can't believe they got both those guys in the same draft.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I actually have number one for me is the Eagles. So I love it. They're basically it's we're getting close to the point of the joke that everybody asks of, like, could the worst football team in the NFL, could they lose to the best college football team?
Yeah.
And we're close to seeing that because Philadelphia is mostly Georgia Bulldogs at this point. So we essentially have a college program in professional sports. They just draft every fucking Georgia Bulldog that is available. And yeah, they took 4 this year. They took a couple last year.
Yeah.
Like, they are just loading up with Georgia
They
Bulldogs.
just- I think
they
they're gonna-
traded for DeAndre Swift, and he went to Georgia. Like,
They're
do
gonna
not
move
fuck
they're
around.
gonna move their training camp outside of the Mercedes Dome down in.
They should stay
Georgia.
away, because if they go down there, they're going to get flooded with people because they're going to have some diehard fans. But yeah, I mean, kudos to them. I really like what they did. That's a team that was in the Super Bowl. They were right there to win a championship with Jalen Hurts. They just paid him. They think they have a championship caliber roster, and they add to it with just great players. I mean, at one point in the draft, Jalen Carter, in the draft process, I should say, Jalen Carter was coveted as the number one prospect.
Yep.
He had a horrible pro day. He had his off-field bullshit in, whatever, however you want to look at it, with the people dying in the drag racing thing and him like lying about it, blah, blah, blah. He has some off-field shit for sure. But talent-wise, on the field in college, he was honestly looked at as a guy who could have gone number one overall.
Yeah.
And a team that almost won the Super Bowl was like, yeah, we'll take him.
Right.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Did you see the news reporter dropped the big dick thing during the live? Did you see that?
No.
Some chick was talking about the draft pick for Jalen Carter, and like she meant to say big defensive guy, but she's like big dick Jalen Carter. I mean, defensive Jalen Carter.
I mean, what a nickname to have. I mean, there's worse things to be called out
Good
there.
for him. Good for him. My number one team, I'm going to hate to say this, especially with who we have in the room right now, but I'm giving kudos to the Steelers with a good pick.
Are you kidding? They drafted a fat baby at offensive tackle with their first pick. I hated their draft.
I thought they had a decent pick with the Broderick Jones pick. I thought they needed somebody.
I think Jones is extremely unathletic. I think Myles Garrett's going to eat him for lunch, while Broderick Jones eats multiple lunches because he looks gigantic and horrible.
And then the pick for Joey Porter, I don't know why they traded up to get. Did they trade up for him again? No, they didn't trade up again. They traded up to get.
They just took him in the second
Benton.
round.
That's right. Yeah. So
Because they don't know what they're doing, and they just looked at the paper and they're like, "Hey, that name sounds familiar. Let's take that guy." So they took Joey Porter
I'm
Jr.
just doing this to get Justin to keep going pissed
It's
off
gonna
now.
work.
Here we go.
And they're like, "Hey, this guy's. I think we had him before, didn't we?" And they're like, "I didn't know he was a junior." And they drafted him. They thought it was actually Joey Porter. They don't know what they're doing. And then they took Darnell Washington, who's got a bad knee. Like, that's why he dropped down the draft board. And the Steelers, again, because they don't do their homework, they're like, "Hey, how is he still available? Let's take him," because they don't do any research. Horrible draft. I don't like it at all. Again, I'm not nervous about that at all. And as long as they have Kenny Smallhands Pickett, we have a real defensive coordinator in Cleveland now. Shit's over for Pittsburgh. Your draft sucks. I think Kyle skipped ahead and did his number one worst draft first. I think maybe.
I was just messing with you. Detroit Lions, I thought had a great pick.
Okay.
So Detroit Lions
See,
went
I
out.
hated that they traded back personally. That they should have just taken Bijan Robinson.
I know.
They
but
traded back and took
I
Jahmyr
don't-
Gibbs.
I don't
understand that.
Well, I don't understand the Gibbs, but that's the one that kind of threw me for a little bit. I was like thinking, shit, here we go.
Yeah.
They're going downhill this year. They have such a chance to capitalize. But after that pick, the other picks they made, I thought was pretty well for that team.
You want to make a bet?
What do you got?
I bet the Steelers finish better than your team this year. If you win.
What's our team's name again?
Huh?
What's our team's name again?
Cleveland.
Oh, I see.
Cleveland who? We say names on this show.
weird. I don't
mind saying the Steelers.
If the Browns.
Dollar.
no. Those rules don't count on talking about balls. I'll give Dave the credit here.
If the Browns have a better record than Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
I'll take you to and your wife to dinner anywhere you want to go. But if Pittsburgh has a better record,
You gotta
than the
take him
Browns-
and
Beep? No,
him
no,
and
no.
Beep to dinner.
No. Hell
I
no.
was gonna say deal's off if that's the case.
Anywhere you guys want.
Deal. On air. You guys heard it here first. Browns will finish better than the Steelers.
You got to take us all, Dave.
I'm calling it. Yeah, the whole talking about balls.
Okay. Let me.
We're all going.
The balls crew. There you go.
Deal. And
The
then I will take
balls, dude.
Two balls
two-thirds
in the shaft.
of Steel City running lates. And
I
your
like that.
your third host can all the free bread and water that he wants at a different restaurant because he's not welcome at my table.
Oh, geez. But no, honestly, Detroit, I think, had a really great draft. So I was fucking
personally-
with you with the Steelers. I just wanted to get you going. But
I purposely left them off all my list, but no, Detroit, from my perspective, my opinion, I didn't like their draft. I didn't
Yeah.
understand the trading back to then just take the second best running back when you had the number one running back in your face. If you were going to take that position, why wouldn't you want the number one guy? That was my thoughts on that. Then their other pick, I believe they took Jack Campbell, the linebacker. That was really early for me. He was a guy who I had pegged for the Browns to look at. Like, he was like a second-round graded player. I think it was crazy Dan Campbell looking at it and going, oh, he's got my last name. Let's take that guy.
I'm really curious about Hooker. I'm excited about him because I think that he could be someone in 3 years here, 2 years here, that could be really good for them.
But that's another issue, too, is Hendon Hooker, if I'm not mistaken, is like 25 years old. He is officially he's not going to be playing this year because of his knee injury. So when he's actually able to play in an NFL game, he might be like 26, 27 years old. And I mean, at that point, he's almost going to be the same age as Jared Goff. So, like, why get rid of Goff? Yeah, me personally, I did not like the Lions draft, but that's why we make these lists. We're allowed to have differing opinions. We'll see what happens. I didn't like it myself. And now we will get into our most hated drafts. And I'll let Kyle start.
So my fifth worst team, I think, in just my opinion, the Chargers. I don't know why they went after Johnson as the receiver they wanted. It just doesn't fit on that team, I don't think. It just didn't make sense to me. I'm okay with the pick with the defensive tackle they drafted, but to go after that wide receiver, I think they needed someone who a little more, I guess, better positioning what they needed. They needed more of a slot receiver.
They
I
definitely
think.
needed a wide receiver, but I also think they're looking into the future because Keenan Allen's not getting any younger.
Sure, no, he's very injury prone. sometimes,
And
too.
he can't stay healthy. Mike Williams can't stay healthy. So I think they kind of looked at this as like, we're hoping this guy turns into our number one
Yeah.
wide receiver within the next year or two.
Yeah, I just wasn't a
it's
big fan.
huge gamble. I knew they were going to take a wide receiver, but it's one of those questions of like, what's your board look
Sure,
like? You know what I
sure.
mean? Like, which wide receiver do you think is going to be the top guy? Because, I mean, it's up to the GM, whoever they like better. But I knew they were going to take a wide receiver. I think I had them actually projected to take a tight end because I just knew it was going to be an offensive weapon for
Sure.
Herbert. But yeah, we'll see if that pick pans out. Definitely good reasons to question it for sure. I took for my number 5, I did the Colts.
Oh, yeah. I have them
And it was a weird one for me to
a
put
lot
because I'm not
higher.
going to lie to you. 90% of their picks, I loved. Like, they had really good picks.
Yeah, but
they similar to the Browns, they got great value. They got Blake Freeland, the offensive lineman out of Old Dominion. He was a guy who a lot of people had rated as one of the higher offensive linemen. They got him in like the second or third round. They took Adiadi, the nose tackle out of Northwestern, a guy who I put in my mock as a first-round pick. They got him in like the third round or something like that. So great value there. But what fucked it all up for me, you guys know where I stand, Anthony Richardson. That guy threw for like 50% in college. You know how much harder it is to throw the ball in the NFL? You don't just get better overnight going into the pros. If you couldn't handle it in college, how are you expected to be good with the fucking Colts, where the guy grooming you to be an NFL quarterback is Gardner Minshew? That's their starting quarterback. He's not sitting behind Tom Brady for a year. He's not sitting behind Aaron Rodgers or whoever. He is sitting behind Gardner Minshew.
Watch the Colts come out and surprise everybody with Minshew as
They
quarterback.
surprised me on draft night. And don't get me wrong, I projected them to take a quarterback in our mock draft that we did. I had them taking Will Levis. I had Anthony Richardson going like
Can we talk
11 or
about
something like that.
Will Levis, though?
He sunk like a stone.
Not that, just the entourage of women he had around him all night. Hats off to that guy.
Yeah,
Jesus
good for him,
Christ.
except they probably left him
Left.
immediately because they're like, you are not getting the money we thought you were getting. So, but yeah, no, I really liked the Colts draft, and that's why it was weird for me. I'm not going to lie. If you look at my paper here, I had them as my 5th favorite draft because I was going to say, like, I loved everything but Richardson. And then
Yeah.
I thought about it, and I'm like, but if you fucked up your quarterback pick and you took him 4th overall,
Yeah.
that's like franchise ruining shit right
Yeah.
there. You don't recover from that. So I'm like, that's got to go to my worst draft. So I had to
like that.
replace it. So I put him at 5. I hated the pick. You guys know where I stand with Anthony Richardson. I just don't think he's very good. He's athletic. He's big. He can scramble. He reminds me of a really, really, really poor man's version of Cam Newton, and I don't mean that as a compliment.
Right.
So I think that's a horrible pick by the Colts.
We talked about this in our mock draft because I had them taking Richardson in our mock draft, but we both agreed a lot that he has a lot of work to do.
A ton, and that's why the Colts didn't make sense to me. I had him mocked to the Titans because I thought he could sit behind Ryan Tannehill, who's a good professional, who could teach him for a year or so because he needs that much time. The Colts don't have a veteran quarterback. They have Gardner Minshew. They have a career backup, a journeyman quarterback who's played on like 4 or 5 different teams, who's not very good, who shouldn't be a full 17-game starter in the NFL. And that's the guy grooming a guy who needs so much work. So to me, this is like one of those situations of Anthony Richardson may turn into a good football player had he been drafted by the right team, had he had the right training and learning, etc. I don't think he's going to get it from the Colts. I just don't. So that's why they were my 5th most hated draft.
Spoiler alert, they were my 3rd. So
Most hated?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
we'll get to that.
But my 4th,
I liked all. I will say all their other picks.
Yeah.
Great. They have a very good roster.
Sure.
All the other picks I loved. Good value. That's a team that they're a quarterback away, and they just fucked it up again.
my 4th most hated one was the Patriots. And it wasn't most like hated. I guess I was more confused. They hit, I believe. I like the Gonzalez cornerback pick. Great pick. They needed to replace.
And he, going into the draft process, he was a top 10 projected player. The rumor that I saw, though, was Witherspoon, the guy who got drafted by the Seahawks. He shot up the boards because he plays with a lot of physicality. Gonzalez, they said, he was kind of soft. Mm-hmm. So that made teams kind of not love him anymore. And that's why he was like the 3rd corner taken or something like that, because he was projected to be the 1st.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like that pick for them because they need to replace Jackson, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe he turns into a Jackson. Who knows? But the rest of the picks just had me kind of scratching my head. Some of the players who went after.
It's funny. Do you have any of their names listed by any chance, the Patriots?
I wrote down, actually, I have the site up right now for them. So they picked.
Look at some of their players. Don't they just have the most Patriots names? Like when you say them
Keon
out
White,
loud.
Marde Matu, Jake Andrews, Chad Ryland.
Jake Andrews.
Sidney Sow, Kayshawn Booty, Bryce Bargner, Demaro Douglas, Amir Speed, and Isaiah Bolden. Yeah, actually.
Some of the most Patriot draft guys you could have. I personally I thought about putting the Patriots up there because I questioned their draft, but at the same time, I remember last year I did the same thing. They took Cole Strange 1st round, and I was like, what the fuck were they thinking? Cole Strange was actually pretty damn good.
Yeah.
That was a good pick. So for me, I guess it's just one of those things where I'm not going to question Bill Belichick until it actually falls apart. So I'm leaving it alone.
When are we doing our punishments?
We've got quite a few. We've got to plan it out. We've been busy. We've had vacations and shit like that. We're going to do them.
We're busy old men.
I don't even remember which ones were owed yet. So Kyle did the chip.
Your tattoo one's owed.
That tattoo will happen, but that's my fault because that was also put in the hands of a certain Tim. Yeah, I was relying on him to set that up and to help me do that. So I should have known better. Stupid me. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll plan that on our own. We'll figure that out.
I still taste the chip too. By the way, I've got the extra chip at home. Anybody wants to do it? I mean,
maybe Mike should.
Mike should do it. Yeah.
Mike, why don't you come on? You're so excited for punishments. Why don't you come on and do one? I don't even know what you're being punished for, but you just have to do it. We'll work on it though. We got them going. It takes time. You got to set this shit up, and there's legalities behind it, and contracts and paperwork and insurance and
Our
things like
lawyers
that.
have to see other lawyers.
Yeah.
They
You
have
owe
to
me a
cross
comedy
T's.
set, don't you?
I do. My management team needs to come out here and talk with all this shit. We got a lot of stuff to do. It'll happen.
Hold on, you got a management team now?
Be patient. I've always had a management team. Speaking of, actually, we'll announce it now on the show. I don't have any pictures up for it, but aside from me going in and editing some things in the
Tim can pull it up.
biographies and stuff, yeah, Tim, if you want to, if you can get it up there, talkingaboutballs.com is officially live. It is active. You can go there now.
However, it
everything
does
works.
this all the time.
Yeah, it says it's not private because we switched. There's an issue with our server, so we're working on that, but it's not going to affect the website. So talkingaboutballs.com, not /.com, but talkingaboutballs.com is active. It is going to give you this weird pop-up thing, but check it out. Go there.
Hit up advanced.
Yeah, just hit advanced. You're all good to go.
And then hit proceed at the bottom there.
And then we will proceed to talking about balls, and boom, shaka laka.
Can you show it on the on air? Tim?
I'm just giving Tim time here to show you guys the website. But Talking About Balls is officially active. I now have the keys to the castle to go in and edit and do all that kind of detailed stuff, which I plan on doing. I just haven't had the time. I just got home the other day from Florida. I've been busy, so I'll get to it. But there it is, talking about balls. Not Your Dad's Sports Talk Show. You go into the bio or the hosts, and it has all three of us, all three of our lovely, beautiful faces. It's a great website. Is this showing live right now, Tim?
It is now, yeah.
Perfect. Oh, yeah, there we go. So go up there and click host, would you, Tim? And boom. Kyle, Justin, and then page number 2.
The greater
Our
pick of the
man,
year.
Timbuktu.
Cat Dad and Glory Hole aficionado.
So I
That's
will
crazy.
admit,
I got my own page.
I said Tim needs to be on there for sure. So I told my buddy that made the website. He's the one who did it all for us, and I told him like he told me how he did it. He went to ChatGPT, and that's how all of our biographies were made. He put in like a couple details about us, and it just made it all. ChatGPT did it all. So this website was created by bots essentially. But again, he gave me the instructions to go through. And
So go to the what is it? The about. No, yeah, about. Go to the about section. Just reading.
Mangina, not required to enjoy the show. Lots of psychedelic drugs may be helpful post-show. They're not handsome, but they are adorable. Again, this was all done by bots and AI. So I have the ability to go in and edit everything now and to spice some things up, things that I don't really find that great. Because I felt bad initially telling my buddy, I'm like, yeah, we're all very horny dudes.
I think it's perfect that I'm in the middle because you're the two balls and I'm the shaft.
Because that's how it always is on the show. It's always boom, Tim in the middle, my little angel in the middle. I love it. But yeah, so I'm going to go through and edit some things. So the website's not 100% finalized, but at least you can now access it, and it is live. So check it out if you're at home. Obviously, give us a bunch of page views. The contact does work. The Facebook pages, I got to go through and re-edit. But yeah, we're going to have all of our social media links up there and everything. So right now, he didn't add them all in yet. He just has the links up. So
Yeah, I just was testing them.
I'll get in there and I'll get all those up to date. But because again, we were literally working on it on Saturday afternoon while we were in Florida. So we'll have that final soon. But again, if you go to it, you can see
It's official.
it's up there. You guys can get us some page views, and it helps. That's how we're gonna make money one day. Hopefully, let's do it.
Soon we'll have a link to our OnlyFans down there
It's just gonna be Tim
with nipples.
butt naked.
I mean, I do have an OnlyFans. It's Cuddlebuck.
It's just Tim Winnie the Pooh in it all the time.
Hold on, did you really just drop your? Did you drop your line to your OnlyFans page, Tim?
Hey, that's for just the
did.
tip. It's for just the tip.
So, anyways, okay, I got Patriots with mine. You're on to your number 3.
Number 4. So
Number four,
my number
sorry.
4 is the Baltimore Ravens. I hated their draft. They took Zay Flowers, which everybody and their brother, I think, projected them to take. And I look at it as another wide receiver for that team to just fuck up. They have taken, since they've had Lamar Jackson, unless I'm forgetting any, they took Hollywood Brown. They took Rashad Bateman. They took, I believe there was another wide receiver they took before. They now have taken Zay Flowers. They just keep trying to draft wide receivers that don't pan out
And
because
they signed Odell Beckham.
they signed Odell Beckham. They already have Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson is just not a very good quarterback. It doesn't matter what wide receivers you put on that team. If the quarterback isn't good at getting them the ball, it's going to struggle on offense. Not like Hollywood Brown went to Arizona and killed it by any stretch.
Right.
But it's also just, to me, it shows they don't really know how to draft wide receivers talent-wise. So I love seeing that as a Browns fan, that they took a guy who I'm not really that impressed with. And the funny thing is they were comparing him, which I hated the comp, but the number one comp for NFL Network for Zay Flowers was Steve Smith. And Zay Flowers is skinny as fuck. Steve Smith was a bulky-ass dude. Like, Steve Smith would fight somebody while he was running around. Zay Flowers looks like if you blow on him, he'll fall over. So I didn't understand the comparison that they were
Did
doing.
anybody ask what Steve Smith thought about this? Because he always has his opinion about everything.
No, they should have, though. I think they kept him off for a reason. It wasn't it's a family show, and Steve Smith isn't exactly family friendly.
The NFL memes page. It came out and said a picture of it had Odell and Jackson's like, this is going to be the best offense for 3 games next season.
Yeah, that's fair. And even then, I don't even think that's going to happen.
No, I think it's just being sarcastic because, Odell's going to get hurt after a game or two.
Yeah, so that was my number 4 most hated draft.
Interesting.
Baltimore Ravens.
I like it. Mine was the Colts. We talked about it. So I'm going to jump ahead and just move ahead to my next one, which is the Commanders.
Okay.
The Commanders had a lot of holes they needed filled: linebacker, quarterback, tight end. They drafted none of those. at least to start with. I forget the first pick, but it was not either one of those positions.
No, they
if I'm
took a
mistaken.
corner.
Yeah. So I think they missed out on what they could have even gotten some backup for the young quarterback. They could have got a linebacker. There was a lot out there for them to pick, and I think they just whiffed on a couple other draft picks.
Yeah, I mean the Commanders aren't known for drafting that well. The other thing too is like they're going all in next year with Sam Howell at quarterback, who I don't think is that good. Their backup is Jacoby Brissett, which is awesome. Hopefully he'll get some playing time there. But that's a team with Ron Rivera that I think next year will be his final year if they don't do anything, and I don't think they will. They've struggled to figure out their quarterback situation. They haven't drafted very well. Just overall, it hasn't been a good run for Ron Rivera, but they've been close. That's another guy from the 5-year or the 5th-year option. They did not pick up the option for Chase Young. That's an interesting thing I wanted to talk about. If the price is right, do you go after him?
Yes.
I mean, I would too in a heartbeat. Imagine
Absolutely.
him lined up with fucking Myles Garrett. If you can get Chase Young healthy, whew,
Predator on one side, Myles Garrett on the other.
and a Predator at quarterback,
Ayo.
nailed it. That's how you make those jokes, even if it's at the Browns' expense. I'll still do it. But no, I would love that. I know. I mean, like I said, they're not picking up his options, so this is a make or break year for Chase Young. The thing is, though, is if he plays well, he's going to earn himself either a huge contract to stay there. They'll franchise tag him, or he
Do you
can
envision like a Javanian Clowney path of career here, where he's such good 2 or 3 years, gets injured, then he has kind of lackluster, then gets picked back up a little bit at the end.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, he really needs to step it up and have a great season, though, because, again, if he has a bad season, the Commanders will probably just let him go. He'll be a free agent who's going to only sign like a 1 or 2 year prove-it deal. Like, he's not going to be making himself money. It's going to be hard for him to stick. He's going to more than likely have to go to, like, bad teams. And it's just a whole thing. I really hope the best for the guy. I loved Chase Young coming out of the draft. So, you know, if a team could get him before the trade deadline, if the Commanders are having a shitty season, if he's not doing much, you know, if the Browns were like, hey, we'll give you a 5th-round pick for the guy halfway through the season for like a little half-year rental,
Absolutely.
I would do that in a heartbeat. I would love that.
Especially if the Browns are on a playoff path. You know,
Exactly,
it would
just
make sense.
extra depth.
Chefs.
You're taking a top 5 draft pick who clearly has good potential. If it weren't for Joe Burrow, he would have been the number 1 pick of the draft. He was that good, just couldn't stay healthy, had some issues. So I would take a flyer on that, but that's just an interesting one that, you know, a top 5 pick not getting his option picked up. Don't see it too often.
Agree.
So I will go to number 3 then, because you jumped ahead a little bit, and my number 3 is Minnesota. I hated their draft, hated it. They took
Minnesota?
Jordan Addison. They took another wide receiver on a team that really needed defensive help. Kirk Cousins stinks. I think we all saw that in the playoffs when they lost to the Giants.
Oh, don't hate on Cousins.
Giving him
He
another
tries.
weapon.
He tries.
And then one of their picks that I really hate, it was a 7th-round pick, so I'm not going to bash him too much, but they took Dwayne McBride, wide receiver out of Florida Atlantic, I think. In his career in college, he has more fumbles than catches. And that guy got drafted.
So we have a chance. We have a chance.
There's a very good chance. I have pretty good hands, and I don't fumble. But this guy got drafted. Again, 7th-round pick. I'm not going to hold it too much, but it's like, why even waste a fucking draft pick? This is a guy, go after him in undrafted free agency if you really want to. But
Yeah, he was not getting drafted.
just
probably.
a really questionable decision when you take a guy like that. But overall, I didn't like their draft at all. I don't think they did much to help their team take that next step. I don't think they had a good free agency. So I'm not expecting much out of Minnesota next year. Although the division could be wide open because I don't like the Lions draft. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is gone. I think the Packers are going to stink. And who's the other team in the North? The Bears. Maybe the Bears can put shit together, but
I think the Bears take the division next
it's
year.
possible. It's wide open. So that'll be exciting to watch in the North and the NFC.
The Bears.
My number 2, skipping ahead here, is the Rams. I hated their draft. I didn't like any of their picks. They took Stetson Bennett in the 4th round. That was a guy that the Vegas had him favored to not get drafted
Is
at
he
all.
not retiring next year then too?
He will be. He's old enough. He'll be eligible. He was drafted in the 4th round by the Rams. Couldn't fucking
You're
believe
saying
that.
that you run him over Manziel? I'm not Manziel. Sorry, Baker Mayfield. It's interesting that they didn't try to just keep Baker Mayfield.
There was like a weird thing. Sean McVay was like, "Oh yeah, when we were scouting Georgia players, we were scouting other players on the roster," and he's like, "And I just saw something in Stetson Bennett," and I'm just like,
Yeah.
what? That he's older than you?
Ri-
Like
more
Sean-
wrinkles
Sean
than you?
McVay is younger than Stetson Bennett. He might be older than that. He might be like 25 or 6 or something like that.
I think he's 26.
Yeah, he's old as fuck. He's got like he's an alcoholic because he's lived a long life. He's been divorced. He's got kids.
He's got 2 ex-wives and 4 kids.
Yeah, he's had a long life. But he's just a really questionable pick, honestly. I remember seeing, I almost bet just for
Is he
shits and
really
giggles.
divorced?
No. I mean, he might be, but he's old enough to have lived a few lives. But yeah, I remember seeing that, like, when they drafted him, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This guy, Vegas had him favored to not even get picked.
Yeah.
And they took him in the 4th. So just a questionable pick. Didn't like their draft at all. That was my number 2, the Rams.
So my number 1 overall was, and just because I think they reached, and they had such a great draft last year that I thought that they'd followed up, especially with the quarterback they just traded for,
I think I know who you're going to say.
the Jets.
Spoiler alert, we both have the Jets number 1 for the worst draft.
He's 25, by the way. He turns 26 in October.
Stetson Bennett?
Yes.
Yeah, so 26 going into his rookie season, 4th round pick.
Fucking crazy.
Why even bother? Like, we did that with Brandon Weeden. It was a horrible decision by the Browns
Terrible
to do
decision.
it. Why do that? When you have Matt Stafford, you're taking a 26-year-old quarterback.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
But yeah, number 1 Jets. They extremely reached on the William McDonald pick. I don't understand it when they came up to it. They reached for him. I will say they didn't address any holes in that team. I think they need to address.
I laughed. I will give them credit. They did take Joe Tippmann, the center out of Wisconsin. They did need a center, so that was the one good pick I'll give them. But that Will McDonald pick was trash. I fucking almost fell out of my seat laughing at them when they made that pick. All the guys in the room, even my Jet fan friends, hated the pick.
Really? Nice.
Except for one, Mike. Mike is he's a guy that if you could take a shit in a Jets jersey and he's gonna love it because it's the Jets. So he's the only one. My favorite part about this, and this is a huge memory that I have from this moment because I laughed my ass off making fun of them. And everybody in our suite, because we had like 9 people in the room with us and we were watching the draft, and they were loving me roasting that pick. They were literally like in heaven. And my buddy Brian and his son Pat, Jets fans, they were both like, oh, what the fuck? Like, they were in disbelief. And then Mike, of course, was like, I think I saw some mocks where this guy was rated pretty high. Like, he was trying to sell it. He was trying really hard. My favorite part about it was the highlight reel they showed for this guy. And this is not bullshit. This is dead serious. NFL Network's highlight package for Will McDonald was a quick clip of him dunking in an LA Fitness during a pickup game. And 3 clips of him jumping over SUVs. That's something he does in like viral videos. He jumps over cars. I'm not bullshitting you. They showed 0 football highlights. And the Jets drafted this guy 15th overall. And the best thing they could show you for him was him reenacting the Dukes of Hazzard by jumping on vehicles and dunking at a fucking gym. They had no football highlights for this guy. He was a defensive end. They moved him around to defensive tackle at college. I think he went to Texas A&M. I don't remember. Not relevant. He sucks. That's a shitty pick. Bad pick.
The Jets have turned into the cater to Rodgers team right now.
Yeah, I mean they obviously traded before they got Rodgers. They signed Alan Lazard, which was clearly Rodgers telling them to sign him. Today they're signing Randall Cobb.
Yep,
which is funny because I saw a meme and somebody made a really good point. They were like, or it was a tweet. Somebody's like, okay, so Aaron Rodgers wanted out of Green Bay because of what they were giving him on offense.
And he just
goes
brought
to the
him.
Jets, brings that offense with him. And it's like, that actually is very true.
But he was excited about Garrett Wilson, though. He did say he came out as excited about the routes he runs and his
Said it reminds him of Devontae Adams.
Yes, Devontae Adams, yeah.
But yeah, no, horrible draft. Will fucking I just kept calling him because he is, if I'm not mistaken, he's also like 24 years old, Will McDonald. So I just kept calling him Old McDonald all weekend. And oh my God, I roasted them the whole time. It was
I don't understand what the Jets
on there. And they are really putting all their eggs in a 40-year-old basket.
Don't be hating on your boy now. This is your boy.
No, he's a Jet. Fuck him.
Oh,
Fuck
okay.
him. Till he retires.
No longer your boy.
Till
now.
he retires. He's not my boy anymore. I will never pick Aaron Rodgers to win an MVP again. I will not do anything of the sort because he's on my shit list when you're a Jet. I told my buddies that. I said there are teams I hate in the NFL. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and the Jets. I hate them because my friends are Jets fans. We talk so much shit to each other. I hate them. I want nothing but bad things to happen in New York sports. Speaking of, Jalen Brunson, I'm coming for you now, motherfucker. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, you're on the list.
Yeah, we're
now.
still on the Jets. And speaking of, Aaron Rodgers was officially traded to the
Is that
Jets.
the number he's rocking with this year?
Yeah, he moved to 8 because he feels like 12 is Joe Namath's number, and he wore 8 in college, so he decided to go with 8.
Did Favre move numbers too? And he stayed. 4.
No, he stayed at 4.
Okay.
I mean, let's be honest. There's not a lot of retired numbers for the Jets. They're a shitty team with a real shitty history.
I mean, we all knew this was happening, right? I mean,
Yeah,
no
it was just a
surprise.
matter of time and a matter of compensation, and the fact that the package was weird. They flipped first round picks, so the Packers technically had the 15th pick. They got the 13th, and the Jets moved to 15, where they took Old McDonald and wasted the pick. They traded a couple extra picks, and one of them being 2024. It is a second round pick that can turn into a first round pick if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps, which more than likely will happen.
yeah.
Maybe not, because that offensive line for the Jets is shit. It's pure garbage. I'm not going to lie to
We're
you.
gonna have another famous picture of him on like laying on the side with the strap.
There
up
might
by
be a
his
couple.
nose.
Their offensive line is ass. They've got Mekhi Becton, who's a piece of shit, who's a bum. Another guy they did not pick up the option for, his fifth-year
It's
option.
a very heated night for you right now.
Just
we got
New York.
Cavs, Pittsburgh.
Hatred. I had to spend a weekend with New York guys listening to them talk about the
Just
Jets,
kidding. No,
talk shit about the Knicks, so I'm fucking letting it rip today. But when I get to the Cavs, I will say there's going to be more hatred spewed on the Cavs, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, fuck the Jets. Horrible trade.
So, I mean, what does this do for you? Do you think this gives them an extra 2 or 3 wins? I mean, does this put them in potential playoff contention next year? I mean, they weren't far off last year.
No, they weren't. A lot of the games, though, they got lucky. I mean, I'm being honest. The Browns game.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah,
a once-in-a-lifetime comeback win that they got. There were some moments that, like, even, like, early in the season, I think they got lucky and they, like, beat the Bengals, didn't they, last year, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Like, the Jets had some really crazy wins that I don't think would happen again. If you played those games 100 times, 99% of those times it's going
Go
in the
the other
opposite
way.
direction. So I think they got lucky. Obviously,
They
Aaron
got a good
Rodgers.
defense.
Aaron Rodgers is a tremendous upgrade over Zach Wilson. Yes, Sauce Gardner was the defensive player, rookie of the year. Great lockdown corner, so good pick there. They've got Quinnen Williams, who's a really good defensive tackle. That's about it. Their safeties kind of stink. The rest of their corners aren't great. Their linebackers stink. Their defensive ends aren't great. They ended up, I mean, they drafted Old McDonald because a couple of years ago they
You
signed
like that. No.
Old McDonald. They signed Carl Lawson, the ex-Bengal, to a huge contract. He immediately tore his ACL. He has not been very good. So a lot of questionable picks on offense. They got the offensive rookie of the year in Garrett Wilson. That's about it on offense. They had Breece Hall, who looked good for like 3 weeks till he blew his knee out. Of course, my Jet fan friends think he's the next Jim Brown because he had like a month of good games. Their offensive
he's not
line,
a bad running back though.
he's not, but tearing your ACL is really hard to come back from at
Sure.
any position. Running back, it's really hard because
Yeah.
you need that thing to be strong for you to make your cuts, for you to run, to get hit. It's a really tough injury to come back from. Their tight ends stink. Their offensive line stinks. Every wide receiver aside from Garrett Wilson stinks.
But our argument though is Rodgers should elevate everyone on that team, correct?
You would think, but you're only as good as your surrounding cast, and I don't think the Jets cast is that great. I mean, to me, the Packers team was better. The Packers had a better offensive coach or a better head coach. I like what the fuck? I forgot his name. Their head coach.
Him.
Yeah, him. You guys know who I'm talking about, though. I can't remember his fucking name. His brother, Matt LaFleur. His brother is actually the offensive coordinator for the Jets, Brian LaFleur. But I don't think that they're better than the Packers, and he left a Packers situation and didn't make the playoffs
He's got
with them.
Packers 2.0 in this team. He's brought the receivers that he liked throwing to in Green Bay, which I would assume Lazard is going to be there too, and I would assume Cobb's going to be there for potential slot.
If
I don't
Cobb
know.
makes the team, I mean, it honestly
Potentially.
will be tough. He's
Yeah.
old. He's not productive. If they keep him, it's to be nice to Rodgers. But at that point, then you're hurting your team by adding a
we
roster
took their
spot.
second best receiver, I think.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore.
Oh, absolutely. We took Elijah Moore. They have. I don't even remember their fucking other wide receivers' names. Corey Davis, I think they still have.
Yeah.
Their wide receivers aren't very good. So, personally, not a fan. I don't like what they did. Adding Aaron Rodgers is you're getting, honestly, you're getting a 40-year-old quarterback who not everybody is Tom Brady. I know we watched Tom Brady play. He could play till he's 50. I know we saw that. We think that could happen with anybody. Aaron Rodgers showed his age last year. Aaron Rodgers had the worst year of his career. Now, my friends that are Jets fans are just blaming that on he had a thumb injury. That's why. It was just because of an injury. It's not because he was 39 going on 40, and he needs to do drugs and go into darkness
Oh,
retreats
this
in
was
the
your friends
offseason.
defending Rodgers here?
Yeah, they said,
I
he
see.
just had a thumb injury last year. That's why
Did
he's
any of them buy Rodgers jerseys yet?
So my one buddy, he bought a Rodgers nameplate, and he put it on his Elijah Moore jersey because they have the same number. So he was wearing an Aaron Rodgers makeshift jersey
Of course he was.
in there, and I
Which
told him
one
it
was
looked like
this?
shit.
Was
It was
Mike?
Mike, of
Mike,
course. It was Mike,
yeah.
of course. But yeah, so the Jets draft sucked. I don't really like what they did. The other thing too is you're in kind of a juggernaut of a
Yeah, New England, Miami.
in the East.
Yeah.
It's Buffalo, more than likely going to win the division. They're great. Miami, made the playoffs last
could
year
potentially win a division too.
with multiple backup quarterbacks. That's a team that Mike McDaniel had ready to go to they went to the playoffs. They almost won a playoff game with Skylar Thompson. They added some good pieces in the offseason. They've made some trades. They've gotten better. A young, good, fast team going up against this guy, 40-year-old. I don't know.
And let's be
Doesn't do it
honest,
for me.
Belichick, even though the Patriots are up and down, knows how to scheme against quarterbacks pretty well and teams.
Knows how to beat the Jets.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And he loves beating the Jets.
Yes, he does, and I love seeing it happen, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. He's officially a New York Jet, so I hate him. No more love for Aaron Rodgers on this show. You'll never hear again.
No more MVP picks for him.
I will say, I made fun of my buddy because my buddy was all excited, Mike, of course, that Aaron Rodgers has gone to like every game in New York so far for other teams. So he was at the Knicks games. He was at the Rangers games.
Of course, he loves being in New York.
The Rangers got eliminated the other day, so I sent him the putty from Seinfeld doing the Devils because they played the New Jersey Devils. So I sent him that a bunch of times, and I'm like, "Oh, your boy Aaron Rodgers didn't pan out too well there.
We
It
should
wasn't
get
good
Mike
luck."
to call in one time and just get him on
No,
the show.
we do not want that. He will, with his thick New York accent, he will talk over everybody, and he'll continuously just go, "Whoa!" He just loves talking about Aaron Rodgers. So that's never going to happen. Mike, if you're watching right now, we do not have a hotline anymore. Moving on from Aaron Rodgers, some more gambling bullshit happened in the NFL where multiple players and personnel for the Detroit Lions were busted. Busted for gambling. Jameson Williams is facing a 6-game suspension. I believe they said this is the gambling was not done on football. It was done on other sports, but it was still done at the team facility, which is a big.
So how are they tracking?
big no-no.
I guess, how are they tracking this? Like, I'm curious. Like, how do they know it was done on the facility, like in the facility or by the facility or whatever? Are they really just going in their phones and geo-tracking when these things are placed?
It's probably it's probably not even that in depth. It's honestly might just be like they're connected to the Wi-Fi and the Lions can see what people are doing, and they're like, this fucking guy is on DraftKings right now, like making bets.
I
They did it to not only just I think it was 4 players. 2 of them are suspended like 6 games. One of them being Jameson Williams, which he was the main guy. The other guys were all backups. Then there were 2 other guys who got busted who were suspended for a full season, and they were immediately cut. Then there were employees that worked in the office, and I started seeing reports that there are other organizations who didn't want to go public with it because it wasn't players that have had people that work in their front office, like smaller roles, obviously not like GMs and shit, but they've had guys that have been fired for betting on sports in their office.
So I know that like when because I was just in New York. So when I get to New York, I had to like log into a whole different like login account.
Yeah, you have to change your state and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I know that these apps check location no matter whenever you log in. So I'm not conspiracy theory here, trying to just make sure this makes sense to me, but I believe, I'm sure the NFL and whoever works with FanDuel and DraftKings MGM and probably has, because your name's out there, you have to have your legit name out.
Not only that, you have to put your social security number because you get taxed.
Yes.
So the government has all your information. You can't
So
lie
I'm
about who
wondering
you
if
are.
they have some kind of deals cut out saying when these players are logging in, I need
I'm
to
sure.
know where they're at. And when
Because
it
they're
doesn't.
all affiliated. So like DraftKings, you see a million commercials. They're the
Correct.
official sports gambling thing of these professional sports leagues.
Yep.
DraftKings ads are all over
Yes.
sports games. They work together.
I wouldn't doubt if they had some backdoor connection of just understanding where everything.
What I don't understand for these players, have your friend do it.
right,
Give your friend the money.
or do it at home.
No, I wouldn't even do that because you'd still get in trouble. My thing would just be have your friend bet. If you think you have a good bet, have your friend do
But
it.
didn't what's his face have his friend bet for him, and they traced it back to him?
Calvin
getting-
Ridley?
Yeah.
No, I think he
Was
did it
it- was it
himself.
him?
I believe
Okay.
so. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was 100% him. Which that's another thing to think about is he's back for the Jags next year. That offense is already pretty good. Now you're adding another really good wide receiver.
He
That's
sat on
scary.
my bench all last year. He is a keeper of mine.
Oh, for sure. That's good value there. But yeah, Jameson Williams coming in, he missed like half of last season, maybe more, because he had an injury late in his college career, was a first-round pick by the Lions, missed most of the season, came back, played for like a month, and now he's suspended for 6 games.
Had a good couple games.
Yeah. So out of the potential like 34 games of his NFL career, he will have already missed like 20-something of them.
Just more
Like,
value for St. Brown. But,
crazy.
that's right.
Yeah, but not good for the Lions.
Yeah.
Especially when you fucking skip out on taking the number 1 running back and you take Kamir Gibbs. I don't understand
we
that.
knew a
I'll
couple
never
years ago that
understand
this was going to be an issue, though, because with all sports gambling being so big and it's getting
Yeah.
bigger and bigger and bigger, that it's going to start hitting these players. It's going
What
to start
sucks
catching
though is
them.
that, I mean,
You
it's
should
just
you
shitty.
should be allowed to bet on other
Other sports.
sports. I think.
you can't bet on your own. You can't bet on anybody in your league, but like they even said that he was not betting on football. Like if Jameson Williams is sitting there betting, he's in Detroit. Maybe he's bored in the facility and he's like, "Oh, the Lions play today. Let me throw $500 on that just for fun." Now he's suspended for betting on the Lions, who he hasn't. He didn't talk to anybody. He's just trying to have fun.
Tigers,
I think that's shitty.
or whatever.
Or that's what I meant.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I get it. So you should be able to bet on other sports
Because they
not
could walk into a
yours.
casino and drop $10,000 at the fucking roulette table.
Right.
And that's completely fine. You're allowed to do
But
that.
they can go drop $10,000 in UFC anytime they want to. That's technically a sport.
Are they allowed to bet on
Yeah,
that?
they do it all. They're all like out there talking about money they went off all these bets.
I didn't know that about fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean technically it's a sport, right? But you could you see these players all the time there at casinos and on Twitter talking about money they made off certain fights. And it's just crazy. The
rules are fucked up. I don't
hypocrisy.
understand it because I mean, at least that's what they said. Maybe they're lying, but there would obviously if this all just happened recently, he couldn't have been betting on them
No.
playing football because there's no football league.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't agree with it. I think just don't bet on your own sport, and that's it. Like Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. That's bullshit. Major League Baseball should be ashamed of themselves.
They're gonna wait till the guy dies. To put
I know
him in,
because they
which
said
is-
he is banned for life.
Yep.
So as soon as he's dead,
That's the key word.
he's no longer banned.
Real quick in football before we move on to basketball here.
Sure.
Did you see that Goodell could potentially be his last year being commissioner? They didn't really negotiate an extension.
Yeah, he's not really a well-liked dude, and he actually looked really bad in Kansas City on TV and all that.
Well, he's in Kansas City. So.
He looked really like he's aged 10 years overnight. Like he did not look good.
Stressful job, man. You're dealing with the 32 crybabies or how many?
I would
teams are there?
happily do it for that amount of money. It doesn't sound that stressful to me.
But I'm curious though because they said he did not negotiate an extension.
Yeah, he's getting old. I mean, this is about the right age to get out. It's one of those jobs where you don't want to stay in too long.
Yeah.
Because then the owners are going to force you out, so
Right.
you don't want that to happen. So you kind of want to go out on your own
I wonder
terms.
who would be next up. I wonder who it would be.
Oh, I'm sure they got plenty of guys in the waitings. We'll see. I'm sure before it even happens, there'll be leaks of potential people, and we'll be able to come on here and nitpick and complain about who we think it should be, which I love doing. As Kyle said, let's get to the NBA. We've got a little bit left of our show here, about a half hour, give or take, because we got to be professional today.
We are professional every day. What are you talking about?
Joel Embiid, Tim's favorite NBA player,
Yeah, look at that.
won the MVP.
Timmy wants to give you a hug.
Tim sent me that picture. That's his wallpaper on his phone.
Aw.
He's so happy for Joel Embiid winning his first ever MVP.
pussy.
Not
MVP
MVP,
pussy.
not to be confused with that. I think he earned it. I think he should have won a couple years ago.
I think it's rigged, but it's fine.
Yeah, I mean they definitely gave it to him to feel nice.
No, they gave it to him because of a bunch of the Jokic talk earlier this year. Like, okay, we need to cover our ass
We
here.
can't give this guy 3
Let's
MVPs
give it
in
to
a row.
Embiid, even though I think Jokic should have got it again. But
Yeah.
let's just go
Yes.
give it to Embiid.
No, I mean-
most venereal pussy.
If
Yes, keep coming up with names. I
As
love
I
it.
mentioned a few weeks ago, if it goes to Embiid, no complaints. If it would have gone to Giannis, no complaints. And if it would have gone to the Joker, no complaints. So to me, this is just the NBA's way of saying we have these 3 great players who are consistently great every year. We got to divvy it out a little bit because they're
If
so
that's the case, then
compared.
put their names on a fucking wheel and just spin it, and whatever
I
happens,
think they kind of
happens.
did, and that's why we've ended up with 2 Giannis MVPs, 2 Joker MVPs, and now 1 Embiid. So does Embiid just automatically win it next year to make it fair?
I think so.
Back to back
It's-
for all of them?
It's coming back. Yeah.
Moist vaginal pathway.
That sounds like a category on Pornhub. That doesn't even sound like an insult.
That's what Tim's looking on right now is all his Pornhub searches.
The one thing Kyle sent me today, an interesting stat, that LeBron James, first year ever, he received 0 MVP votes.
Yeah. It means his rookie year, he must have received 1.
Rightfully so. But he didn't even win Rookie of the Year. That was the fucked up thing.
Yeah. But
Yeah, he
first
did.
year,
Did he? I thought they gave it to Carmelo.
No, they gave it to Brown.
Oh no, he did win it. What am I thinking of? Oh no, I'm thinking he didn't make the All-Star game. That's what he got snubbed with.
He didn't make it to the playoffs either.
Well, no, that didn't
No,
happen a
not
lot
that
early
team.
in the
Not with
season.
that team.
That was expected.
but yeah, first time ever. He's not had one single vote for MVP. But you know what's funny is that watching LeBron play, just watching him play when he was playing in the series against Memphis, and I even texted you. I said, "It's crazy. Like LeBron,
LeBron is no joke.
LeBron stepped it up, and I love the fact that he asterisk put a little cherry on top, 40 points that last game to close out. Exactly 40 points.
Yep. As we'll just skip right into this one.
Yeah,
As Desmond Bain said, he only respects players that
Dylan
can
Brooks.
put up 40. or Dylan Brooks. I kept saying Desmond Bain.
You took that sleeping pill, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I was tired as fuck last night when I wrote that. I should have said put a picture, and that would have made me realize I had the wrong player. But I specifically said no picture for this one. But yeah, so Dylan Brooks was informed by the Memphis Grizzlies after their elimination that he will not return under any circumstances. They do not want him back. He's a really bad player.
You see what Shaq said?
No,
Shaq's like, man, I can't wait for him and Dwight Howard to dominate Tokyo next year.
that's no lie. Like I don't think any team in the league will go after Dylan Brooks. There's no chance.
You burnt a lot of bridges this year. You
Yep.
got too cocky. You got
I
too
remember
comfortable.
it's funny after they played the Cavs. I noticed he was dirty. That's the first time he really was on my
that
radar.
fight against
It was Mitchell,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Mitchell, yeah.
So I came on the show and I talked about that, and then they got into the shit with Shannon Sharp.
Yep.
And I was like, man, this Memphis team is just really fucking hateable. They're a bunch of fake posers. Like they're not
thugs,
really
fake
tough.
thugs, yeah.
Like I hate this team. Sure enough, they rolled with that whole shit. They tried to live up to that, and then LeBron fucking embarrassed them when it
Yep.
mattered. Grizzlies were the 3 seed,
second seed.
second seed. That's
Yeah.
right, second seed. And they lost to the fucking Lakers, who a lot of people thought in the beginning of the season at
Gonna get-
least
yeah, now
were
make the playoffs.
awful. Like I remember the Lakers started off like 1-10 or something like that. They were terrible to start the year. Everybody and their brothers talking shit about LeBron, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's staying in LA. What an idiot! They suck." Who's laughing now? LeBron not only eliminated the Grizzlies in embarrassing fashion, he is already up 1-0 on the Golden State Warriors. Won a game last night with the Lakers in Golden State because LeBron is
Did
that
Jordan
fucking
Poole
good.
make it out of that arena alive last night? I'm just
He
curious.
shouldn't have. That was one of the worst shot attempts I've ever seen. He truly thought he was Steph Curry for a minute, and he damn near shot it from the fucking logo, and it was embarrassing.
But yeah, no, Dylan Brooks, he burnt so many bridges. You see, he went on
He
like
just hated.
He deleted all his Instagram.
He deleted
posts.
shit. He left the stadium right away. Didn't meet with the media. Like he's just a pussy. Again, fake thugs. That's what these guys are. That's why everybody hated the Grizzlies. Nobody is upset to see them lose. I don't know one person that's a Grizzlies fan. I hate that team. Maybe losing Dylan Brooks will make me come back around to be because I like John Morant. John Morant's fun to watch, but the bullshit character that he was portraying with Dylan Brooks
he
on
was
the team
just-
Steven
made
Adams.
him unlikable. I don't mind Steven
Yeah,
Adams.
he's just hurt. I mean,
He just never plays.
I mean,
He just looks like Aquaman stunt double.
I think
and
Dylan
he
just-
lifts guys up. That's about it. He stops fights.
He tried to be Draymond Green Jr. basically 2.0.
yeah.
He tried
just
to
with less talent. And I think Draymond Green stinks. And imagine having less talent.
yeah.
Like Draymond Green last night, I forgot his plus minus, but it was abysmal in
They don't
that
have
game
him
against
started.
the
They,
Lakers.
they didn't start him last night. I don't think did they?
I don't remember.
I came in late in the first quarter, but I don't think they started him. He
No,
never starts. I don't think.
I don't remember, to be honest. I watched the game. I just didn't pay
Either way,
attention.
I'm surprised the Lakers are up 1-0. To be honest,
I love it. I mean, I have the Lakers. I had them beating the Kings. Had the Kings advance. So this is not shocking to me that the
I
Lakers
didn't.
are winning. You love Mike Brown. That's why we know where you're at. We know where you're at with that, Tim. You were like, if you have a head coach like Mike Brown, you're not beating anybody.
He's not good in the postseason.
No, he's not. As we learned for them.
Let's rip the
in Game
band.
7.
Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get into it.
And yeah, let's do it. We are here. The Cavs are eliminated. The Cavs season ended last week. A week ago, right now, they were getting their dicks beat in by the Knicks. It stunk. I hated it. I was pissed off. I'm not gonna lie. I've said it a million times in this show, and I mean it. I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yeah.
A win is fine, but I can just move on and go to bed. A loss keeps me up at night. A loss pisses me off. It ruins my day. A win, if the Browns win on a Sunday, I'm like, all right, cool. The Browns won. Let's go grocery shopping. Like my day moves on. If the Browns lose, I'm like, Tara's like, hey, do you want to go? I'm like, no fucking way am I leaving the house. Like I turn into a different man.
Cracks the beer. I'm fucking
I'm like,
not
yeah,
leaving the couch.
I'm Will Ferrell and
I'm not
in
fucking
old
leaving.
school. I get pissed. Like I ground myself when my Cleveland teams lose. I don't leave. But yeah, the Cavs. That was embarrassing.
After game 2, I'm like, fuck yes. All right, we got our identity back. We are that team. We don't give a shit. We're gonna
Well,
beat the
even
shit out of
game
you.
one. Game one we talked about here on the
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
Game
horrible.
one was close. Game one we lost by like 4 points in Cleveland. I text Kyle right after. I'm like, I'm not pushing the panic button yet because it
I
showed
pushed the panic button.
if they play a little physical,
Yeah.
hit their shots because they shot like shit game one, we're fine.
Yeah.
What happened in game two?
Kicked
They
their
played
ass.
physical. They made their shots. Darius Garland scored like 30 points or whatever. We beat the shit out of that. We won basically by like 20 points. The score looked better than it really was because we pulled everybody with like 5 minutes to go. Robin Lopez was out there scoring points in a playoff game. That's all you need to know about how much ass we were kicking. Looked good. Then the wheels fell off. Then reality set in, and to me, it just shows you that this Cavaliers team was not ready for the bright lights. They are a team of posers. Jared Allen is softer than a fresh-baked fucking cake out of the oven from a professional chef, because sometimes the cake might come out a little bit hard if you overcook it.
He's my favorite big in the league.
I liked him a lot. He was a really nice guy to meet. He signed an autograph for me. He was really nice. But luckily that autograph signing was before this series, because I would not have any nice things to say to a Cavalier player right now. And that goes for all of them. I don't want anyone to think that I'm just going to pick on Jared Allen. Evan Mobley, you're young. I'll give you a little bit of credit. You were a little bitch in this series. You did not show up as a top 5 draft pick. Jared Allen, you're a 7-footer, and you made Mitchell Robinson look like fucking Shaq in his prime. You should be ashamed of yourself. Isaac Okoro, Karis LeVert, you are who you are. I can't even be mad at those guys. Those are just role players. They shouldn't be touching the ball that much anyway. That was my biggest gripe of the series. There were times in the games where we're down by like 8 points, 10 points, whatever, with like 5 minutes to go. We need to ignite a comeback. Where the fuck was Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland? Who was the one shooting these threes to try to lead us back in these games? Karis LeVert and Isaac Okoro. I couldn't believe it.
Yes.
I was literally yelling at my TV like, why the fuck? We're trying to get this offense rolling, and Karis LeVert is the one shooting threes. Why the fuck is the ball not in your star players' hands? Donovan Mitchell, you are a fraud. You are a phony. You are a pretend superstar. You do not show up in the playoffs. That's all I need to see for a player. I thought last year was a fluke when you were with Utah. When Jalen Brunson fed you lunch every day like your fucking dad, I thought, that's a fluke. It's a bad series. He's with Utah. They're not very good. Now he came out. He changed your diaper. He patted your ass with some baby powder. He is your fucking father. You have no issue, or you have no abilities against Jalen Brunson. It's like watching Space Jam. The Monstars took all the fucking powers. Darius Garland, you were in all. You had one game. What did he score in game 3 in New York?
12
points. I don't even remember him getting double digits. And honestly, that's how embarrassing it was. Then there were games with Mitchell, 11 points in a fucking playoff game. In a damn near must-win playoff game to keep your team's season alive. You put up 11 fucking points, and you are some superstar that's from New York. One day you might play for the Knicks because you love the Garden and its atmosphere, and you score 11 points in a playoff game. Shame on you. That's embarrassing. This whole team is a fucking joke. Next year is going to be ugly because the regular season will mean jack shit to me. I will not get excited. They could go 81-1 for all I care, and I am not going to give one fuck because they need to win a playoff series. That's embarrassing. This whole team should be ashamed of themselves. And shame on JB Bickerstaff, who got outcoached by Tom Thibodeau, which Tom Thibodeau's a good coach. He's been in the league a long time.
Tom comb over Thibodeau. I like that.
His hair is so bad. But JB Bickerstaff had no fucking idea what he was doing.
Zero adjustments.
He made 0 adjustments, and I'm not one of those guys that's going to say like, well, if we still had Kevin Love, we'd be winning. Kevin Love, however, is boxing out Mitchell Robinson. He's getting rebounds and he's hitting threes. What is something we needed desperately in that Knicks series? Somebody to hit shots and somebody to get rebounds and to box out Mitchell Robinson.
I think we were afraid
of
rebounds.
Kevin Love walk for free. I was pissed about it at the time, but I like Kevin Love, so I wasn't going to be mad at him. But shame on the Cavs for letting him walk away for fucking nothing when your rotation in the playoffs is involving Chetty Osman, Dean Wade, and fucking Karis LeVert or Isaac Okoro, whoever you're deciding to start that day, because that definitely wasn't a panic move by JB Bickerstaff, was it?
I think Moondog got in there too. He played.
We could have used Kevin Love in the worst possible way, and we let him walk away for nothing. So shame on you, Kobe Altman. Also, JB Bickerstaff, you got out-coached, you got embarrassed, you made no adjustments, you had no idea what you were doing out there in that series. However, the one thing I will give credit to Bickerstaff on is the fact that it's just the team. The team had no heart. They weren't boxing out. They were getting bullied out there by the Knicks. There's really not a ton the coach can do if the team isn't doing those things.
Right.
You can tell them all fucking day, box out, do this, establish position. But then, my issue, though, with the defense, and I won't get too technical with the X's and O's, Jalen Brunson would do the same fucking move every time. He would go to the elbow, and then the defense would collapse on him, which would leave an open spot for Mitchell Robinson underneath down low, which would either A, give him an easy look at the basket, or B, get him in great position for an offensive rebound. That killed us. JB Bickerstaff had no fucking idea how to stop that. I'll tell you how you stop that. You do what the Miami Heat are doing to Brunson, because they're showing you how to stop that. You need to contain your position, box out, get a man on Jalen Brunson, and just hope he misses the shot. That's all you can really do. You have to just put a little pressure on him and contain. Don't double team. Why were we treating Jalen Brunson like he was prime Steph Curry? We were double, triple teaming at some points, and they fucking killed us for it. Shame on the Cavaliers. This season was a waste. You got the 4 seed, and you fucking pissed it away. Embarrassing. Shame on everybody in the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. Shame on you, Dan Gilbert, you son of a bitch. Your son with his fucking bow tie. Let's not see him again for a long time. Fuck that whole family. Embarrassing.
I've got nothing to add to this.
Nobody's
because-
safe when I'm mad, Tim. Nobody's safe.
Wrong.
Nobody's safe.
I have nothing to add to this other than
JG.
I go hard.
he goes hard in the paint. He goes hard in the paint, unlike the Cavs
Unlike
did.
Jared Allen.
I've got nothing to add to this. I'm glad. I hope you feel better. Get it off your chest. You probably sat in that one for a while.
I've been stewing on that for a week.
I will say though, I was in New York during Game 3. Walked into a Cavs Cleveland backers bar, all excited. Everyone was there wearing jerseys. Everyone was pumped, talking shit to the Knicks fans as they walked by. Even a couple came in. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, we're gonna win tonight. We're gonna walk around New York tonight and just have a good time. Yeah, fuck no, we got our asses embarrassed. And walking around downtown, Knicks fans are brutal. I'll tell you that.
I mean, that's the one fucked up thing about this situation is they won a series against the Cavs, who clearly, I mean, were garbage. The
Yeah,
Cavs were ass.
sure.
I'm not denying that. But they acted as if they won the championship.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's their. I mean, I'll give them credit. That's their first
They were the
playoff
underdogs.
victory for in like 20 years. Honestly, it's been a
Yeah.
long drought for the New York Knicks. So for them, it almost was like winning a championship, I
Yeah,
suppose.
it was not fun in New York during the time because we got our asses embarrassed that night. So
Really quick, a little off topic. We don't have a thing for it, but I just want to talk about how shitty the Guardians have been. I just looked at the score. We were up 2-0 a minute ago, and it's now
the
2-2.
Yankees? The Yankees. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we played, is it what the game that we won? We had one hit through 8 innings, and,
Yeah.
and we had to go through the
We had to
9th
score
inning.
in the top of the ninth
yeah,
with 2 outs.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Our offense is trash. Our pitching is actually relatively decent. Even though they're I'll give them credit with that. They're trying to figure some shit out with some. Oh, look at Tim. He's so fucking good. That's why I love this guy.
What's Bell's batting average now? I haven't.
I don't even know off the top of my head. I've just been more so. I haven't been paying attention to individual stats. I've just been more so paying attention to the games because wins and losses are my main factor right now. It's early in the season, and losses are piling up. We are quickly losing ground to the Twins in the division. Not good. Luckily, the White Sox stink, and there's really no other contender. The Royals and the Tigers stink too. But the Twins are gaining some ground, and that's not good.
It's 2-2, bottom 6 right now.
Yeah, we let them tie it up. It was 2-0 a little while ago when I was looking.
Yeah, we got.
And it's Shane Bieber
Bieber's
pitching.
tonight. Yeah.
So that's why I was like, okay, let me check the Guardians score really quick, and we fucking let them tie it up. We're going to probably lose. This is another series loss. We keep winning 1 out of 3 games. That's not good. I know we start off slow in April. It's technically
Well,
May,
it's
but
May
you know what I
now.
mean? We
It's
usually
gonna
start off
be
slow in the
May.
beginning of the season, but this is not good. You can't keep doing this. It's embarrassing. The offense looks fucking pathetic. Figure some shit out.
But we have this same conversation every year. You
I know,
that?
and I hate because again, I hate losing.
I know.
fucking
You hate
it.
losing, but we have the same conversation with them. And then come end of May, going into June, they start getting together. Then June and July, they're actually a really good baseball team.
And-
And they play themselves right into a solid end of the season.
I know last year it was like a joke that I was ripping the Guardians even though they were winning and they were the division winners, and I kept talking shit because it seemed to be like a reverse psychology type deal. I mean it right now. This team fucking stinks. I'm fucking irritated.
I would take anything Justin says right now serious because he's not very happy.
Yeah, no, I'm
so.
in a bad mood. This is no joke. The Guardians fucking stink. They better win tonight. They better win this fucking series because, again, winning 1 out of 3 games is garbage. The Pittsburgh Pirates are one of the best teams in baseball, and that pisses me off because I hate all
Yeah, where
things
the
Pittsburgh.
fuck did that come from, by the way?
It just came out of because nobody knew who
Do
any
they
of
have
the fuck these
Andrew
guys are.
McCutcheon back on the team?
Yeah,
again?
they
Do
brought him
That's
back.
right. I mean, like, I thought I was seeing like an old replay.
No, that's real. He came back. He shaved his head, I think, a while ago, and he went back because he had nowhere else to go. He was old as fuck.
Look at him.
But he resurrected his career there. There must be something in the water.
Piss.
Or nuclear waste if you look at the people from Pittsburgh.
Cousin semen. Something like
That's
that.
no, that's in the cousin's mouth
Oh,
in
got it.
Pittsburgh.
Ayo.
They don't waste. But yeah, the fucking Guardians, man, it's just annoying. I hate watching them lose every night. It's like, what the fuck? Get your shit together, guys. We'll have more on that.
And deep breath.
Yeah, we'll have more on that. So we're moving on from Cleveland sucking, and now we are just going to get to the entire NBA. and we're going to go over what's currently happening in the playoffs.
What a weird playoffs this has been.
Very strange. I'm not gonna lie. Everything I thought I knew
Out the window.
is gone. So Tim, if you can throw that bracket up, we got the Bucks.
I took it down.
God damn it, Tim.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
For the
We got
Knicks
time.
for this one.
The Bucks and the Heat, round 1 versus 8. Again, I picked the Bucks to win the championship. I thought they were a damn good
I'm putting
team.
an asterisk next to that game, though.
Yeah.
That series.
Yeah.
Because of Giannis. But yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
Giannis getting hurt, that fucked things up. I mean,
Yes.
I think if he was healthy, they win it easily. But he wasn't. And I mean, that's the way sports works. Like, look at the other night. Jimmy Butler hurts his ankle at the end of the game. They win, but he can't play in game 2.
Right.
Joel Embiid can't play in game 1. Injuries are part of the game. I'll never use them as an excuse. It just sucks when you make predictions and they fuck up because of an injury. That's when
I know
that's
all
when I
too
get mad
well
about
when
it.
I try to make predictions and I lose a lot of the times.
Yes. But it usually doesn't happen because of an injury. It's just because of a bad pick. But it happens.
Thanks.
Of course, that's what I do. But yeah, so you've got in the East, you had the 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks lose to the 8 seed Miami Heat. Embarrassingly, honestly. I mean, the Heat
Yeah.
fucking dominated that
Yes.
series, really. Like, Jimmy Butler there was a game, I think it was game 6. I was in Florida. I'm watching it. The Bucks are up by like 10 with like 5 minutes to go. I went to bed. It was like 11:30. The game started late. It was the night of the Cavs game. It was
Yeah.
that Wednesday night. So I'm like, I'm tired. I'm just going to get some sleep now. So I'll turn the game off. I'm like, Bucks have this in hand. I woke up to the Heat winning. It went to overtime. Jimmy Butler went off in like the final few minutes. I didn't realize how great Jimmy Butler can really be. I knew he was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Jimmy Butler at all. I've always been a fan. I like his toughness and grittiness. I didn't realize he's capable of what he's doing this year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's insane
He
what
just
he
wants
did.
it. You know?
That's exactly it. He's
and
just a guy out there
they
who's
have a
not
good
fucking
coach.
around.
They have a good coach in that team. I mean,
Yeah.
no one gives him a
Scott
lot of credit.
Spoelstra is a great coach. I mean, that's the number one thing I said. Well, fucking around with my buddies that are Knicks fans. The number one thing I told them in that series, I'm like, you have Tom Thibodeau, the fucking shitty castaway coach that gets fired and sucks. They have Scott Spoelstra or Eric Spoelstra. I'm sorry. That's an advantage right there. And you got Jimmy Butler playing out of his fucking mind.
Spoelstra never got a lot of credit because obviously it was LeBron.
He was a
years,
super
right?
team.
Yeah.
So it's like the Phil Jackson thing
But
of like
he's coached that team ever since then to manageable seasons.
they went to a finals a couple
Yes,
years ago. They
without-
lost in the bubble
Yeah.
to the Lakers, but he took them to the finals.
Yes.
He's continuously made the Heat a playoff team.
I
And they have a good roster,
I
too.
thought when Hero got hurt that I thought
I
maybe
did too.
that-
When
that
he
would've
broke his
done it.
hand, I'm
Yeah.
like, this team's done.
Yeah, I thought they were done, but no, they've really picked up the slack from when with him not being on the court, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so the Heat have a huge upset. The 8 seed beats the 1 seed. Milwaukee Bucks are done. Obviously, the Cavs and Knicks, we don't need to talk about
Nope.
that again. You guys know
Moving
what
on.
happened there. The Sixers swept the Nets. That was easy. The Hawks took the Celtics to a Game 7. Surprisingly, Trae Young decided to do what Trae Young does best, and that's shit the bed for the first couple games, then have a couple 30, 40-point games and make everybody think you're good.
And then clutch it out.
Rinse and repeat. Next year, he'll do the same exact thing.
I don't think he's gonna be in that team next year, though.
No, that sounds like they've made him available and said they are willing to listen to any and all offers for Trae Young. In the West, you had the Nuggets sweep the Timberwolves. That was a pretty easy series there. I think we all picked the Nuggets. Suns and Clippers. Clippers made it a little more tighter than we thought in the beginning, and then the Suns pulled away. Kings and Warriors. I had the Kings.
The series of the first.
That was the
round.
best round. That was the best series for
Absolutely.
sure. Went to Game 7. Unfortunately, the lights were just a little too bright for the Kings, and you've got a
I think
team.
They'll be back next year.
You have a 4-time champion team with the Warriors for the most part, with Draymond, Clay, and with Steph, and Steve Kerr at head coach, going up against a young team that hasn't made the playoffs in 25 years. That's expected what happened, them not being able to finish out in Game 7, because the game was close until like midway through the third quarter, and the Warriors just fucking pulled away and ended their season.
Steph Curry hit 50.
Yeah, dude, he went off. That's a team that, again, they just...
Yeah.
When you're facing a team that's that good with that much history in the playoffs, and you're this young team that's never been there, I should have been a little smarter about that pick. But I just hate the Warriors. I can't pick them. Then you had Tim and myself, who were the only two on the show that made sure to pick the Lakers because we understand what Laker playoff LeBron is about. And yeah, they made it pretty easy, pretty light work dealing with the Memphis Grizzlies there, and you'll love to see it. I love LeBron. I'm so happy that he's winning. And again, he's up We'll quickly talk about that series. They're up 1-0 over the Golden State
Can
Warriors
we talk
after last
about
night.
the
Sure we
little,
can.
the white boy in the Lakers team who's fucking playing his ass
Austin
off?
Reeves, baby. He's
Austin
the man.
Reeves.
He's a fucking stud. He's a really good player.
What a player, man! Just watching him during that Memphis series, the heart in that kid.
To me, this is the LeBron James effect. This is a guy who gets shit on by MJ lovers. And again, I love both players. I think personally LeBron is the best player I've ever seen. Michael Jordan is right there at number 2. No denying it. There's no change in my listing. There's none of that bullshit of like, LeBron's not even in my top 5. Guys that say that, I just fucking stop listening to them immediately because you don't know shit about basketball. That's what you're saying.
Somebody said they barely put him in their top 10.
Then I would tell that person, then you barely have vision because you don't know what you're watching.
Who said that?
We don't need names on here
Yeah, I'm not gonna put the person out
because
there.
I'll probably end up roasting him. I'm not gonna lie. We can't talk about that. But to me, again, it's up to me. It's individual, whatever. LeBron's my favorite player of all time, best player I've ever seen. He makes guys so much better around him. Again, he took that team in 07 to the finals. He used to get Damon Jones, Danielle Marshall to hit clutch shots for him.
Danielle Marshall.
He just elevates
Danielle
the people
Cornrow
around
Marshall.
him. He elevates everybody, and now you're seeing it with Austin Reeves, a guy who most people probably have never heard of, playing lights out. They trade
mad
for
pussy in LA right now. I'm
Rui
sure.
Hachimura, comes into LA, great. Vanderbilt, all these guys that most people had never heard of, they bring to the Lakers, and they're all great players now. Or not great, but they're doing
They're fitting into
doing
their
what they
roles
need to do in
like
the
they're
playoffs.
supposed to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anthony Davis and LeBron James are clearly the captains of the ship, and they're dominating and they're doing what they need to do. And then you have these other guys who are stepping up and doing extra things in the playoffs, which is what great players bring out of you.
Yes.
So my man LeBron doing it again for the Lakers.
Now they're 1-0 up against Golden State, which, hey, we've seen this matchup before. LeBron
you
versus
love
Steph.
to see it. The other game or series in the West is the Nuggets being up 2-0 over the Suns. Did not see that coming.
No,
I thought that'd be a
did
little
not
tighter.
see that coming either.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Chris Paul's out for
Is
the
he?
next few games.
Is he?
Somebody posted that. I don't know if it was true or not. I didn't see it anywhere.
Let's see here.
We're gonna have to look that up really quick while we do our homework here.
But
'cause I
it's
didn't
not
do
so
it in
much that they're
advance.
up 2-0, but the Nuggets are dominating the Suns.
100%. I mean, Jokic is just so fucking good. Yeah, Suns expect to be without Chris Paul for multiple games.
Oh, that
So that's it. And that's,
Nuggets got that series then.
hate to say it, but that's the Chris Paul effect. That guy just can never complete the job in the playoffs. He's always struggled. He's the last guy
Should
from
stick to the State Farm commercials.
he's the last guy from the banana boat with
Melo,
Dwayne
LeBron,
Wade.
and Dwayne Wade.
not Melo. Melo wasn't on the banana boat because he doesn't have a ring.
Oh, it was
it was Bosh.
yeah, Bosh.
It was
that's right.
Bosh, Wade, and LeBron and Chris Paul, and he's the last one on the banana boat to not have a ring, and it ain't happening this year. It doesn't look like it. So that's a bummer because I had them going to the finals. But I guess it
Sixers
doesn't
are
matter.
up 1-0 against the Celtics. That's
Sixers
going
are
on
up
tonight.
1-0. That game is actually happening right now, and the Sixers are down 42-36 here in the second. Close game. Joel Embiid missed game 1, but he is back tonight, and it's kind of ironic that
So
now they're losing.
We already have our picks in, but if you had to quickly, because then we have to get to the tip.
If
here.
we were re-racking,
If we were re-racking, so now we're into the next round here. We already have a game or two played. Who do you have going into the finals now?
I would do Lakers-Sixers.
Really?
I'm not fucking around with my love for LeBron. I can't pick Jokic. I just can't do it. I like to think Anthony Davis is going to be able to kind of control Jokic.
Okay.
And when you have two players that are that good, like DeAndre Ayton's good, but he's nowhere near an Anthony Davis. So I think Jokic against a Davis who can close out, who can get rebounds, who's athletic as fuck, who Jokic is not going to be able to stop. And then you add who's got the other best player,
Yeah.
LeBron, Jamal Murray.
Yep.
Yeah, give me LeBron 1,000 times out of 1,000 in that one.
So I just want to see the storyline. Like I said last time, it'd be kind of cool to see the storyline, the Cavs versus LeBron. But give me LeBron versus the Heat.
Maybe we'll do that next week because our boards are so fucked. Maybe we'll re-rack.
Re-rack.
Well, let's do a re-rack. Let's do that. We should have done that by round instead of going for the whole playoffs. We should have just done by round.
Re-racked. But I give me LeBron
Actually,
against the Heat.
since these are all going on, let's do that really quick. You guys want to do a re-rack?
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm with it.
All right, I'll write these down here. Let me jot it. I'll do it on the back. We got Nuggets and Suns. I think that one's going to be pretty easy.
Yep.
So I'll go Justin. I'm going Nuggets, obviously.
Yep. Nuggets for me.
Kyle, Nugs.
With sweet and sour sauce.
Nugs. for
Extra
Tim.
Nuggets. Make that a 20-piece from a man, Tim, over there. Nugs. And then in the bottom, Lakers, Warriors. Me personally, I'm going Lakers. Tim, I think I know who you're going with, right?
You do.
Our boy LeBron, Kyle, begrudgingly, it
It
sounds
is a
like.
tough game, though. That's a tough series, like, honestly.
For me, I look at it as they stole home court advantage yesterday, and I think that's. I can't go against LeBron. I fucking love him. I can never pick the Warriors in anything. It could be like the Warriors are playing Parma High School,
Give
and
me
I'm
the
like,
Lakers.
yeah, give me Parma. I went there. I think they have a chance.
Give me the Lakers.
All right, Lakers for Kyle. And then in the East, you've got the Heat and the Knicks. I'll start. Give me the Heat. Jimmy Butler should be back on, I believe they play on Saturday. He did not look happy after that game. The Knicks barely were able to beat the Heat's backups without Tyler Hero, without Jimmy Butler, and they were full strength. They had Julius Randle back. Jalen Brunson played, everything. You had Jimmy Butler into that mix. I think if Jimmy Butler would have played on Sunday, it's already a 2-0 series. I think the Heat would sweep.
Give me the Heat.
I didn't mean to talk you into it, but we'll go with it. Tim?
The Heat. But I want to say the Knicks have shown they can make the adjustments.
Especially that Jalen Brunson guy, right? Tim?
Yeah.
After eliminating the Cavs the way that they did, they are on my hate list forever, so I'll never pick them either. Them and the Warriors are kind of in the same boat. And then we've got Philly and the
Give me the
Six,
Celtics
and
in
the
this one.
Celtics. Okay. Kyle's taking the Celtics. I'm going to go Philly. Give me that MVP.
This is also tough.
It is a tough one.
Harden is actually playing this year. But yeah. Shit. Give me Philly.
Philly.
Gotta keep that wallpaper safe.
All right,
It's
so I'm
fun.
going to write down round 2. Okay,
All right.
so we'll
We'll re-rack
redo
after
it
this one.
every time.
Okay.
I like that, though. That's a good call. All right, so those games are underway. Excuse me. We'll keep you posted on all that going forward. And without further ado, because, again, we're trying to be professional, we're going to wrap up right at 9 o'clock. Let's do Just the Tip, everybody's favorite segment. We're going to start off with my man, Timbuktu. I have a feeling I know what he might be talking about, when this event will happen, and where. That's up to him to tell you. Take it away, my friend.
So I'm actually gonna talk about the buffet this week. No, I'm just joking.
Hell yeah. Now you're speaking my language.
Buffet.
Well, it's gonna be a buffet of jokes because I'm talking about comedy, just like always.
Yes, sir.
The unapologetically funny and Lex Vegas' birthday show.
Ooh.
It's gonna be May 20th. It's at the Old World Tavern, free admission again. Old World Tavern will always be free, so come in and see incredible lineups that you would not see for free usually. But this one is gonna be Lex's birthday, and he's actually getting on stage this time.
He's doing a set?
He's gonna do a set.
No shit.
It's a birthday set, so I'm guessing we have to roast him a little bit. I don't have to really roast him, but I'm gonna get to talk about how I work with him every week and how terrible it is to do that.
I love it. You know, for me personally, I love it when a nice Redline radio host will actually go through with a roast when they ask people to do it. No names, please.
So
None.
but it's gonna be a great show. We got I Holla. I forgot the next guy's name. I haven't heard him yet, but they were just talking about him on the show yesterday. Keith Silly, Ray Mel Adams, Church Boy, who Lex now manages. Ulysses Dickerson, myself, and Sean Showtime, as well as Lex, on May 20th at 8 o'clock at the Old World Tavern. Man, it's gonna be a great time. Every time we do the Old World Tavern, it's always a pretty good crowd. It's amazing, man. You should come out and enjoy yourself, man.
That is awesome. Definitely check that out. Especially Lex Vegas is a staple at Redline Radio, so make
how
sure
old
you
is
go check
Lex?
that out.
Honestly, I don't even know.
The
pretty bad.
ageless one.
Right.
The ageless wonder.
But no, definitely go check that out. Redline Radio. He's a huge part of it. He's a huge help with everybody. He's constantly putting shows together, helping people out, promoting. So definitely go check that out. Wish him well for his birthday. That is May 20th.
May 20th.
May 20th, Old World Tavern.
3 weeks.
And that leads us to Kyle.
So mine is a show. Me and my wife just started watching this. We've heard about it for a while now. We just never got around to watching it. If you liked House back in the day with Hugh Laurie, great show. This is like that, just with a kind of a different twist on it. But instead of like having they're both geniuses, a smart-ass doctor who just knows everything. This young guy has autism. He is an autistic doctor who also has a different type of, not disease, but issue that he has a photogenic memory. He remembers everything. So he went to medical school, knows he has.
It's a good problem to have, it sounds like.
Absolutely. But it's a good show. We're six episodes into it so far. Good storylines. I mean, it's still the first season, but I will say that it's worth a watch. They're hour-long episodes. If you like kind of the medical drama shows, back in the day, ER and House and stuff like that, it's worth watching. So each show has a unique type of issue with it. His storyline's kind of building, is getting more comfortable. But yeah, it's definitely worth watching. So if you get a chance, check it out.
Check that out for sure. My tip this week is kind of a obviously, spoiler alert for those of you that didn't really catch on. It wasn't live. It was pre-recorded. We did announce before we did it that we were doing a pre-recorded show. So if anybody actually thought it was live,
hats off to us.
That just shows us that we're great actors. But I did a review last week for Evil Dead Rise, the new movie in the Evil Dead franchise, and I did it before the movie had even come out. So I clearly hadn't seen it yet. But that weekend after it came out, I did go and see it before I went to Florida. And it was fucking awesome. It was really cool. I really liked what they did with it. It does not take place in a cabin. It takes place in an apartment. It is gory. It to me, it mixed the original from the 80s with Bruce Campbell with the remake from 2013. It had some super not scary. I don't know. Horror movies don't scare me, so I don't want to sound like it's hard for me to word it properly, but it had some good horror moments.
Jump scares,
and
eventually?
There were some good jump scare moments. It had some jump scare moments. It had some freaky, creepy moments that make your skin crawl a little bit. It had some humor to it. It had some outrageous shit. It had a ton of blood and gore. But overall, it was really cool. Just the story was fun. The way they did it was really, really well done. The woman that plays the woman that gets possessed there, she was fantastic. She was actually really good. All of the kids in the movie and the other actors and everything, everybody was great. Overall, it was really cool. I liked it a lot. I recommend it a lot. I rated it today on IMDb. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Really liked it. So make sure you check it out. Keep horror alive. Go see it in the theater. And the rumor is that it did so well, they're already planning to come out with another one, which is awesome because they did such a fucking good job with this. So sooner the better.
I really wish Campbell would have made a kind of a comeback.
So he did. I won't say it on air, but I think I know where he was in the movie.
Okay.
I'll tell you after, because it's not a huge spoiler, but I still don't want to be that guy. The movie's only been out for a week. I don't want to do that. I actually have a second tip, kind of. I just kind of want to. It's gonna sound like I'm bragging, and I don't mean for it to sound like that. It's more so just explaining my experience at Disney. I want to tell all of you, if you ever get the chance, go to Disney. That was so much fucking fun. I was honestly kind of skeptical of I'm an adult, how fun is Disney really going to be? It was awesome. As soon as I came back, I literally looked at Tara, my wife, and I'm just like, we need to start planning another trip to Disney. I loved it. It was the one thing though it's expensive, A. B, my friend was gracious enough to do a VIP tour for us. He told me the price of that VIP tour, and holy shit. But when you break things down with your trip and this and that, it would be worth it. What the VIP did was it got us a personal tour guide who drove us to each park in a Disney van.
Oh, boy.
And it was not Mickey. It was an actual person. His name was Ray. He was fucking awesome. But you get your own personal driver to take you to all the parks. You don't go in through the front entrance and scan a ticket and wait in lines. He literally pulls you through all the back entrances. You go in through a back entrance and exit. Some of the rides, he literally will wait for you outside with just bags of water. That's all included. I know bottles of water being included on a trip or on an event that costs a lot of money doesn't sound that appealing, but when it's hot as fuck and you're in Disney, it's a great thing. Every ride, I got to ride all of the top rides. I rode Guardians of the Galaxy. I rode all the Star Wars rides, Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run. I rode Haunted Mansion. I rode Test Track. I rode Avatar. I rode the new Tron ride that had only been open for 2 weeks. I got to ride literally everything we wanted. We just cut all the lines. We got to go right up to the front. The VIP thing is so fucking worth it. But even if you can't do that, if you can just go to Disney, do it. It's so clean. It's so nice. There's detail in everything. It's beautiful there. I really had the time of my life, honestly. So if you ever get a chance.
Favorite ride?
Did you see my buddy Pluto?
I did, actually. I saw Pluto. I actually, the one funny story, we were walking by in Hollywood Studios on the way to Star Wars, and there's Goofy. And if you've ever seen the Goofy movie, there's Powerline, the singer.
Yeah.
So we're walking by, and I go, oh, shit, it's Powerline. And our tour guide turns around and He's like, so many people don't know his name. He's like, that's awesome. So I'm like, yeah, I love the movie. Like I watched it all the time when I was a kid. We go ride the Star Wars rides. We're coming back, and he just goes, hey, do you want to go get a picture with Powerline or anything? Like you can just cut everybody. And I'm like, no, I can't cut a bunch of little kids to get a picture with Powerline. I'm like, thank you though, but I can't do that. That's
I'm
one thing I want
surprised
to do.
you wouldn't be like, yeah, fuck those kids.
No, cutting.
If you wanna shout out loud.
That's such a good song, such a good movie. Cutting everybody to get to the rides was amazing. That felt
Did you get
so
looks?
good.
Did you get
Oh,
looks?
100%. Like Haunted Mansion, especially, and Tower of Terror also. The lines were like outside, stretched all the way down. We walked in through the exit and just went right on. We cut everybody, and people were just like staring us down. It's such a good feeling. But my top 5 rides in order were Guardians of the Galaxy, number 1. That was the best ride by far. Number 2 was Toy Story Mania. That ride's fun as fuck. So you have 2 people in your cart, 2 on this side, 2 on the back, and you're playing against each other. And it's a digital game where you're like shooting, and you wear like your 3D glasses, and it's just like you're at a carnival and you're playing this game where you're shooting balls at like targets, and it's just fun as fuck to compete against people.
That's awesome.
So that one was awesome. I love that. Number 3 was Avatar. That ride was amazing. Number 4, probably Rise of the Resistance was awesome. It's like you're in a Star Wars
yeah.
movie. And then number 5 is Haunted Mansion. That's always one of my favorites. So go to Disney. It's great if you ever get a chance. But those are my tips for the week. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We really appreciate it. We're happy to be back. We will more than likely have a show next week, but we'll keep you all posted on social media. On behalf of everybody at Talking About Balls, mommy's with the maggots now. Bye, everybody.